Thank you for tuning into Bond Court. I want to continue posting Bond Court every night on YouTube, but the viewership and engagement on my channel has fallen off a cliff. I would greatly appreciate your help by hitting the like button and leaving a comment on my videos. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Johnny Dagoberto Celaya Torres.
Johnny Dagoberto Celaya Torres.
2019 CF 14368. Sir, you have a lawyer. They'll continue to help you with your case for leaving the scene of an accident with crash and injuries. Because you missed your court date, your bond is being set at $0 bond. Thank you. Is that it for the interpreter, everybody? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Interpreter. I'll disconnect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Defense counsel, who's private counsel, it's my understanding there is no notice of appearance in the file, and because of the confidential nature of that affidavit and the victim's name, I'm not willing to release it until I see that, but I'll address your case when we work it in. Sir, what is your name? Mr. Crew, you were arrested in case 22 CF, I'm sorry, strike that, MM 5964 for an offense of trespass on property at the East Colonial Shopping Plaza. Based on your history, the offer is a 5-day offer. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
No.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
No.
Yes, I'll appoint the public defender.
No, Your Honor.
Oh, he said no, okay.
No.
How do you plead to the charge of trespass on property after warning? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
Has anybody forced you to say no contest?
No.
Do you understand what no contest means?
Yeah.
And are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that's affecting your ability to understand what's going on right now?
No.
I see that you signed a plea form. Did you read it and understand it?
Yeah.
And do you understand if you were on probation at the time you committed this crime by pleading today, your terms of probation would be violated?
Yeah.
Do you also understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea?
Yes.
If you have a criminal history of doing anything sexually violent or anything sexually motivated, Mr. Crew, you will be subject to civil commitment. Do you understand that? All right, I'll accept your plea. You're being adjudicated guilty, sentenced to 5 days with credit to two. Pay your court costs within 1 year and do not return to the scene of the crime. Thank you. After that, I have Crystal Meuchine. Ma'am, your name, please.
CRYSTALMUSHEEN.
You were arrested for a charge of trespass on property after warning. I do find that there's probable cause for this offense. Do you need a public defender, a lawyer, to help you with this case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. State any objection to a 3-day offer? No return?
No objection, Your Honor. I gave a withhold and a credit time served offer.
That's fine.
She stated, Your Honor, she did not want to accept any
Do you
offer.
want to accept the plea offer? It would be a withhold time served. You'd be released today, but you cannot go back to that residence. Would you like to accept that?
No, ma'am.
I'll enter a plea of not guilty. Ma'am, have you ever had any mental health issues? And are you going to be able to forge your bond of $1,000? Are you sure you don't want an attorney?
I need an attorney, but no.
Okay, I can appoint one to represent you, a public defender.
I'm too excited.
Because of the flatline effect, I'm going to appoint a public defender. Stay the bond at $1,000.
Yeah.
After that, I have Genesis Fisher.
Judge, the defendant is having can't talk.
She can't talk, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. On record in 22 CF 10196, I'm going to appoint a public defender. Would you like that? Yes or no? Shake your head. Thumbs up? Okay. I'll appoint a public defender. You're here for a charge of first-degree murder, robbery with a firearm, as well as conspiracy to commit armed robbery. State, would you like me to stay the bonds?
You have
Definitely with regard to count 1, Your Honor. Robbery with a firearm is also punishable
with
by
that.
life.
You want no bond on that too?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
All right, on counts 1 and 2, proof evident presumption, great. We'll have reserving your right for an Arthur hearing. You'll be held at no bond on counts 1 and 2. As to count 3, conspiracy to commit robbery, probable cause has been found. We'll stay that bond at $5,000. You're to have no contact with the victim's family, you're to have no contact with any co-defendants, and you're not to possess any weapons. Ma'am, you're also already out on bond. You have a court date in front of Judge Calderon in case 21 CF 15588 for a charge of carjacking. I'm revoking your release and holding you at no bond, staying all prior conditions of no contact, no weapons. Thank you, ma'am.
I was able to get it. The clerk should have,
Rodney Zigler is next.
she should.
Good morning. Are you Mr. Zigler?
Sorry.
Ma'am.
Hold on just a moment. Mr. Zigler, you're already out on bond on 2 cases. You were arrested in case 22 CF 10126 for a charge of aggravated battery. Do you need a lawyer to help you with that case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll appoint the services of the public defender. I'm ordering no weapons, no contact with the victim, and stay the bond at $5,000. In case 2022 CF 4431AO, you are out on ROR. You have a court date. The state has filed charges in that, so you'll be held at no bond. In case number 2022 CF 7254AO, you're out on release for a charge of petty theft. State has not filed, but in that case, I'm revoking your release and holding you at $2,000 bond.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, your
7254. I'm sorry, what? Somebody say
You
something?
said you're revoking.
I'm revoking in 7254, but I will give a new bond of $2,000 in 4431AO. That case was filed upon. He's being held at no bond and staying at the aggravated battery.
Thank you.
Joseph Stanton. Appearance for the record in case number 2022 CF 9920AO.
Ben Pallone on behalf of Mr. Stanton.
Can you spell your last name?
Pallone. I'm covering today for Attorney Matthew Spark, who was retained this morning. He'll be filing a notice of appearance shortly if it has not already.
All right, thank you. I believe he's in trial.
He is in trial.
Sir, probable cause has been found in case 2022 CF 9920. State, currently he's in at no bond. He is entitled to bond on some of these charges. But let's talk about counts 4, 5, and 6. What's your position on that?
Your Honor, those are also life felonies. I would ask that he remain at 0 bond.
And what does defense say?
I would ask that the court set reasonable bond. Mr. Stanton has been a resident of Central Florida his entire life. He's 37 years old. Prior to his arrest, he lived in Orlando, Florida, in a home that he rented. He owns a pool building company. He has significant ties to the community. He has several family members that live in the community, a mother, a father, 2
Where is he living? Because at the time he was living with the victim.
His address is in Orlando, Your Honor. He's renting a home in Orlando.
What's the address? So you can go ahead and write it down.
The address is 1121 Buttercup Lane. I have not lived with the victim for over a year.
Anything else, defense counsel?
And I don't believe he has any prior FDA history, Your Honor. He's not a flight risk. He's lived here his entire life.
All right, I have reviewed the affidavit and the warrant. On counts 1, 2, and 3, sexual battery with a child between 12 and 18 under familial custody on each of those cases. And based on the affidavit, I'm setting those bonds at $10,000 apiece. On counts 4, 5, and 6, state is correct. They are life PBL cases, so he'll continue to be held at no bond on 4, 5, and 6. That's lewd or lascivious molestation on a victim under the age of, I'm sorry, on counts 3 and 4, it's no bond because it was under the age of 12. On count 6, lewd or lascivious conduct by a person over the age of 17, but over the age of 12. In that matter, I'm going to set bond at $10,000. On count 7, the lewd and lascivious behavior, I'm setting bond at $10,000. I'm also ordering the following conditions. You are not to have any weapons. You are to have no contact with anybody under the age of 18. You're to have no contact with the victim, the outcry witness, or any of the victim's family members. Anything else, state or defense?
No, Your Honor.
Yes.
Just very briefly, relating to his business, he has several jobs open right now. those jobs will go into disrepair if he's continued to be held. I understand that the court's already imposed no bond on several of the offenses.
Sure.
I just wanted to put that on the record. We will be filing a motion to set bond in front of the trial judge. And which counts was it that he has no bond on?
It is, may I see the paperwork? He's being held at no bond on 4 and 5.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next person is Jesse Adams. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 1, 2, and 3 is 10. 4, 5 is no. 6 and the remaining counts are 10 with those conditions. Sir, what is your name? Hold on one moment. Give me just a moment to find your paperwork. Thank you. Thanks. I really appreciate you coming in. You know I make a big mess. All right, in case number 2022 CF 9887, appearance for the record.
Your Honor, my name is Alexa Rimmer. I'm from the Law Office of Jessica Travis. A formal notice of appearance has not been filed yet, but I anticipate one will be filed by the end of business day.
All right, thank you. Case number 2022 CF 9887AO. Sir, you're here for a charge of lewd or lascivious molestation on a child under 12. You're currently being held at no bond. What says the state?
I apologize, Your Honor. I don't know which case we're dealing with.
CONCAS.
Your Honor, that is a life felony. I ask defendant be held no bond.
What says the defense?
Your Honor, I would request that the court use its discretion to set a bond in this scenario. Mr. Concas is dealing with some extensive health issues. He was picked up from the hospital where he was receiving treatment for, I believe, his teeth and several other conditions that he's currently dealing with. So I request that the court set a bond. I understand it is a very serious charge, but if a bond could be set, he can still seek his medical treatment that he was previously seeking prior to being arrested.
All right, thank you both sides for your arguments. I'm going to continue to hold him at no bond. You can set an Arthur hearing downtown. I'm ordering no contact with the victim, no contact with anybody under the age of 18, and you're not to possess any weapons. No contact with the victim's immediate family members, specifically her mother and grandmother. Anything else?
That's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Jesse Adams is next. Mr. Adams, good afternoon. You're here in case number 2022 CT 1144AW for a charge of driving with license suspended with knowledge. I see that you do have a public defender assisting you with this case.
Yes, Your Honor, we're going to enter a plea of not guilty. There's no offer to resolve.
You want an offer?
He's on, this is the parole we
Oh,
just
this
dealt
is
with,
okay.
Your Honor.
So enter a plea of not guilty. We'll set this in,
Ma'am, can I speak? I'd like to resolve this today if possible.
and do you understand that it would violate your probation? Let me give you a moment to speak with your attorney.
I already spoke to my PO, I already spoke to everybody. I know, I didn't tell you that back then, but I didn't have a chance to. So I don't care about it.
Your Honor, he says he does not care. I advise against resolving the case as I did the last court hearing. But he would like to resolve.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've had enough time to consult with your attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that your attorney can arrange to set this for plea after you have more time to talk with her?
Yes, I do.
And you still wish to resolve it today?
I do.
All right, I'll have your attorney give you a plea form. Adjudication time served, any objection to that?
No, Your Honor, no objection.
Corrections, do you know what else he's being in on?
He's just held on the violation of parole. That's it.
Parole?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Let's see what he's D6'd for. All right, state your full name.
Mr. Ryan Adams?
Have you consumed any drugs, alcohol, or medication that's affecting your ability to understand what's going on right now?
No, ma'am.
What's the highest grade that you finished in school?
12?
Any problems reading, writing, or understanding the English language?
No, ma'am.
I have a signed plea form. Did you read it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to the charge of driving with license suspended with knowledge? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
Do you understand what no contest means?
Pretty good understanding, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that it means? You're not admitting nor denying the charge. You just feel it's in your best interest to finish your case.
Yes, I do.
Do you understand that it could be used against you if you were on probation to prove that violation of probation or parole? Do you understand that, sir?
I do.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand we will not have a trial in this case because you're entering a plea?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a criminal history of doing anything sexually violent or anything sexually motivated under the laws of the state, you would be civilly committed. Do you understand that too?
Yes, ma'am.
One more thing that is not on the plea form is if you commit a future act of driving with license suspended, you will be convicted, you will be charged with a felony, you could be designated a habitual traffic offender, and you can face a minimum 10-day jail sentence. Do you understand all that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would still like to enter a plea of no contest, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll go ahead and accept your plea of no contest, finding you're alert, intelligent, and you have the benefit of counsel. You're being adjudicated guilty, sentenced to 4 days' time served. You'll be released on this charge today. Within 30 days of your release, you need to set up a payment plan with the Orange County Clerk of Court. You have 30 days to appeal. Thank you, Mr. Adams. After that is Tai Ping Chen. Medical, Your Honor. All right, enter a plea of not guilty, set in division, please. 61.
Pretrial conference, September 23rd at 9 o'clock, courtroom 7C.
Thank you. After that, I have Clifford Isaiah Grant Sutton. Medical, Your Honor. Enter a plea, are you waiving?
Yes, Your Honor.
Enter plea of not guilty, Division 61, 9/23, correct?
Yes.
At 9 a.m. in courtroom 7C. Thank you. Cortez Barton.
I have one more. I'm not sure what happened.
Okay. One more, actually, Kimberly Devin Wilczynski, inmate number 22017-134. Can we roll this one till tomorrow? I know it's.
It was
He
broken.
bonded.
Oh, she bonded? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Recall on Cortez Barton. Are you Mr. Barton?
Yeah, yes, I'm Cortez Barton. Oh, okay.
PD's office, defendant has an open case in 2022 MM3758 where your office filed competency motions.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, you don't want to plea at this time,
No,
correct?
Your Honor.
All right, let me go ahead and address, give me just a moment to get. All right, sir, you were arrested in case number 2022 MM5966, but you're also already out on bond in 22 MM3758. I find probable cause for assault on a law enforcement officer, battery, and 2 counts of resisting officer without violence. On count 1, I'll stay the bond at 500. On counts 2, 3, and 4, I'll modify each of those bonds to $100. Your new bond in that case is $800. In case 2022 MM3758, I'm revoking your release in that case. I'm going to put you on mental health PTR if you qualify, or set a new bond of $1,000. I do want to put on record he was found competent in 2017. So,
Hey,
all right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barton.
can I at least?
Nope, there's no plea offer.
Oh, okay.
Joshua Conley. I'll appoint the public defender in 22 MM5961. I find probable cause for all the counts, and I'll stay all those bonds. PDs, are you waiving?
I will waive, Your Honor.
Thank
Your
you.
Honor, can we have a no return for the trespass?
That's fine, no return. Case number 2022 MM5971, Ronci Dissamore. After that, I have Bertram Evans. Mr. Evans, you're here in case number 2022 MM5959. I find probable cause for a charge of trespass that occurred at the Lynx bus station. It's a 3-day offer. Would you like to accept that offer?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Oh,
How do you plead to the charge of trespass? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
no contest.
Do you understand what no contest means?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I see that you're signing the form. It's a plea form. Did you read it? And do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand if you were on probation at the time you committed this offense, by pleading today, your terms of probation would be violated? Thank you. Do you understand that, sir? And if you have a criminal history of doing anything sexually violent or anything sexually motivated under the laws of this state, do you understand you would be civilly committed? All right, you're being adjudicated guilty, sentenced to 3 days in the county jail with credit for 2 days' time served. No return to that Lynx bus station property and pay your court costs within 1 year. You'll be released on these charges on day 3. Good luck to you, sir. Drew Havolek is next.
Can we skip over him for just a moment, please?
Sure. After that, I have Quincy Haynes. Are you Mr. Haynes? Sir, you're here in case number 2022 MM382AA for a charge of battery. Do you need a public defender to help you with your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll appoint them. I'm going to stay your bond at $500, and I find probable cause, no contact with the victim, and do not use any illegal drugs. Thank you. Deshaun Jones is next. Here you go, ma'am. Are you Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Jones, you're here for a charge of trespass on property after warning, as well as petty theft. I'm going to stay the bond. Your total bond is $600, no return to that 7-Eleven. Do you want a public defender?
Yeah, I'll take a public defender.
All right, I'll appoint them. Thank you.
Okay.
Zachary Smith is next. Here you go, ma'am. After that, I have Ray Lamar. I'll appoint the services of the public defender to help him with his case. I'll stay that bond at $1,000.
And I will waive your.
All right, and then he has the disorderly conduct. I'll also stay that bond.
He was seen on that previously.
Yep,
Oh, he
already-
was? Okay, thank you. Drew Havolek, any sign? Keep passing. Naresha Lewis.
Good afternoon.
State, do you have an offer on this case?
The withhold of adjudication, credit time served, no return to the Macy's at 8001 South Orange Blossom Trail.
All right, I'll go ahead and follow that recommendation. Ma'am, you were arrested because you missed your court date for a petty theft charge. Your bond is $250. However, your plea offer is a withhold credit time served and court cost no return. Would you like to accept that?
Yes.
And PD's office, were you appointed on this case previously?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have you had enough time to speak with your lawyer?
Yes.
How do you plead to the charge of petty theft? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
Has anybody forced you to say no contest?
No.
Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
Miss Lewis, did you read this paper and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand if you were on probation at the time you committed this crime, by entering a plea today, your probation would be violated?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that if you have a criminal history of doing anything sexually violent or anything sexually motivated under the laws of the state, you would be civilly committed? Do you understand that too?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll withhold adjudication. I'll sentence you to time served. You'll be released on these charges today. Pay your court costs within 1 year and don't go back to Macy's.
Thank you.
You have 30 days to appeal. Thank you. Rachel Sanchez, State, do you have a recommendation on this case?
I do not, Your Honor. I believe there may be some competency concerns.
What says defense?
Yes, Your Honor. We would just ask that you stay the bond.
Were motions filed, and was she ever?
Is there any way I could get an ROR? Because I don't have, Your Honor, I would have made it.
No, I'm going to deny your request for ROR. Give me a moment.
Can you lower the bond?
Hold on, give me a minute to see what I'm going to do, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. She actually can resolve, Your Honor. There was competency, but the last evaluation we just had stated she was found competent. So she
Okay,
can plead.
well, a judge needs to now find her competent. We can't just unilaterally, because they do it, it still needs to be a court order. I'm so sorry
I don't
about
know
that.
if,
Just give me a moment.
Ma'am, I was in jail for 2 months.
Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
It's going to take me 3 minutes, so just take a deep breath. Give me a couple minutes to read this. Okay?
Your Honor, if you are inclined to move forward, an offer had been drafted. It's an adjudication on both counts. There's restitution to the Chevron in the amount of $10.11 and just no return to that Chevron located at 3600 South John Young Parkway.
Thank you. Do you understand everything that's going on right now?
All I know is that I had failure to appear, and I gave my information to let me know. They didn't let me know I had court or anything, so I had no court.
How many days do you think you were in jail for this?
Before I was in jail for 2 months, and then I was transferred into a hospital, and then I got out, and then now I'm back in now.
You missed your court date?
Yes, and the thing is I gave my information. See, I was homeless at the time. I was homeless at the time, and now I got a job. I got a house.
I'm going to give you the time served offer in this case, and you would be convicted of both offenses. You would have to pay court costs. And do you understand that you wouldn't be able to go back to Chevron at gas station?
Okay.
Okay, it's on John Young Parkway. You can't go back there. I'm going to give you a moment to speak with your attorney. For the record, and I wrote this down, the court is entering an order finding that the defendant is competent based on reviewing the evaluation by Dr. Danziger and my conversation with her. She is being found competent, so I can take any plea. And I would release her today.
Your Honor, by any chance, do you know what the credit time served is?
121 days.
Thank you.
Yeah, innocent. She was messing with me, and I was homeless.
That's right?
Yes, that's what I had.
All right, counsel, is it going to be a plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
No contest?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you pleading no contest to the charge of trespass that occurred back in May of last year? Yes or no? Are you pleading no contest to the charge of petty theft that occurred in May of last year? Are you pleading no contest, ma'am?
Yes.
And did you read this paper and talk about it with your attorney?
Yes.
I see that you signed it. Is that correct?
Yes.
If you were on probation when you committed this crime, by pleading today, your probation would be violated. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, I know you've been in and out of the hospital and in and out of jail. Do you understand everything that we're talking about?
Yes.
Are you blurry at all?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to accept your pleas. On count 1, I'm sentencing you to time served of 121. On count 2, I'm sentencing you to 60 days with credit for 121 days time served to run concurrent. Here are the conditions. You pay the clerk of court's office $10.11, and that's going to go to Chevron. It's called restitution. You owe court cost and your lawyer's fees. That needs to be paid to the Orange County clerk back at the courthouse within 1 year. You cannot go back to that Chevron gas station on John Young Parkway. If you don't remember which one, just don't go to any Chevrons, okay?
Okay.
All right, you're being released on these charges today. Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. All right, Drew Havolek, case number 2022 MM 208AE. Are you Mr. Havolek?
Yes.
Mr. Havolek, you were arrested for a charge of trespass on property. It was a UCF library. I do find probable cause. Your bond is going to be $500, but if you would like, it's a time-served offer. Do you need a lawyer to help you with your case?
No.
How do you plead to the charge of trespass? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
All right, she's going to assist you in the fact that she's going to hand you a piece of paper. It's the plea form.
Your Honor, is that an adjudication or a withhold?
It's an adjudication. He has significant history out of state. And you can't go back to that library. Do you understand that?
Yes.
So you entered a plea of no contest. I see that you signed the form. Did you read it before you signed it?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea?
Yes.
And if you were on probation at the time you committed this offense, by entering a plea today, your terms of probation would be violated.
Yes.
Mr. Havolek, has anybody forced you to say no contest?
No.
And if you have a criminal history of doing anything sexually violent or anything sexually motivated under the laws of the state, you would be civilly committed. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, I'm adjudicating you guilty, sentencing you to time served. Pay your court costs within 1 year. Do not go back to the scene of the crime, and you have to abide by all trespass orders. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, you're going to be released on this case today. Thank you. The next defendant has 38 days in. Are you Taryn Thomas?
No.
Mr. Thomas, you missed your court date for a charge of trespass. You do have a bond of $500. If you would like, in the alternative, it's a time-served offer. Would you like to resolve your case today?
Ma'am.
PD's office, were you previously appointed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, how do you plead to the charge of trespass? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
I'll give you a moment to review that form. I saw you sign the form. Did you read it before you signed it?
No.
And do you understand that if you were on probation at the time you committed this offense, by pleading today, your terms of probation would be violated? And do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea?
No.
If you have a criminal history of doing anything sexually violent or anything sexually motivated under the laws of the state, do you understand you would be civilly committed?
No.
All right, I'll accept your plea of no contest. You're being adjudicated guilty and given credit for time served of 38 days. Not to return to 29 East Smith Street in Winter Garden, Florida, and pay your court costs within 1 year. Mr. Thomas, you'll be released on these charges today. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, thank you. After that is Albert Lee Turner. Mr. Turner, good afternoon. You're here in case 2020 MM5514. You missed your court date. You have 2 counts, possession of drug paraphernalia and driving with license suspended. If you would like to resolve these charges today, the offer is an adjudication 12 days with credit for 2 days time served. PD's office, are you already appointed?
Yes, Your Honor. I just need a moment to talk to him because the state was offering credit time served as long as he completed the driving while license suspended class.
I'm going to deny that request. He has over 12 or 10 DWLSs. No, it's a 12-day offer, so the law is that he has to have a 10-day sentence at minimum. He has 2 days time served, so he'd have to do 10 more days.
And,
Oh, shoot.
Your Honor, he would like to accept the 12-day offer.
Okay, give me just a moment. I don't know where I put it. Did it go in the garbage? Okay. How do you plead to the charge of driving of possession of drug paraphernalia? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Your Honor, he was stating that he was being held on this in Palm Beach. Is that, I don't know if you can see how much time.
I don't see that it was executed on this.
Oh.
No contest.
He did have, okay. So you're pleading no contest to the charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. How do you plead to the charge of driving with license suspended with knowledge?
No contest.
Did anybody force you to say no contest? Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that's affecting your ability to understand what's going on right now? Did you read this paper and understand it?
Yes.
I see that you signed it. Is that correct? Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by pleading today?
Yes.
Do you understand if you were on probation at the time you committed this offense by pleading today, your terms of probation would be violated? If you have a criminal history of doing anything sexually violent or anything sexually motivated under the laws of the state, do you understand you would be civilly committed? Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
One of the things that is not on the plea form is driving with license suspended is an enhanceable offense. If you commit a future act of driving with license suspended, you will be charged with a felony. You will face a minimum 10-day jail sentence, and you could also be designated a habitual traffic offender again. Do you understand all that? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, I'll go ahead and adjudicate you guilty of both counts.
Your Honor, sorry, the Trial Services did confirm he was in Palm Beach for 8 days on this case.
Was he? Okay, I'll give him the credit. So 8 plus 2?
Yes.
All right, I'll adjudicate you, what? Because he had 2 days here.
Yes, 4 days.
4 days here? And then 8 days? All right, I'll adjudicate you guilty of both of these counts to run and sentence you to 12 days with credit for 12 days time served to run concurrent. Sir, you're not to drive without a valid license, and you owe court costs. Court costs are, you have 30 days to set up a payment plan for those court costs. I just looked in the stack for the paperwork. I didn't see it. Sorry about that. All right, the next person is Gary Moody. Mr. Moody, good afternoon. You're here in case number, in a city ordinance violation for open container of alcohol. The offer is a withhold plus court cost and credit time served. Would you like to accept that offer?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need a lawyer to help you with your case?
No, ma'am.
How do you plead to the charge of open container of alcohol? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No content.
Has anybody forced you to say no contest? And do you understand that if you were on probation at the time, you committed this crime, by entering a plea today, your terms of probation would be violated?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea?
Yes, ma'am.
I see that I have a signed plea form. Did you sign it, Mr. Moody?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
All right, at this time, I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to time served. You'll be released on these charges today. You mean withhold?
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm sorry, withhold time served. I'll give you 1 year to pay your court costs. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Joel Abreu Mercado?
Refused.
All right, in Mr. Mercado's case, in case 22 CF 10186, I'm going to appoint the Public Defender Services. I do find probable causes to all counts, and I'll go ahead and stay those bonds. Caitlin Bartholomew is next.
On it.
Joseph Bates is next.
Refused.
In case number 2022 CF 10187, I find probable cause for possession of fentanyl as well as petty theft. On count 2, I'll go ahead and reduce that bond to $100, no return to the scene of the crime. In case number 2022 CF 7259, because of the similar nature of the charges, I'm going to revoke his release and set him at no bond. I'll appoint a public, and the public defender's already on that case. Are you waiving?
I will, Your Honor. My only thing is that if you are inclined to revoke, I would ask that you revoke and actually set a bond. He was arrested back in June 23rd, and to date, no information has been filed, and we're in
I did notice that, but I'm going to go ahead and set him at none based on his history. Leah Bates. 2022 CF 10160AO. I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender on this matter. Are you waiving her appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I find probable cause for burglary. I don't find probable cause for the remaining 3 counts. What sets the state?
Your Honor, state agrees, but can we have 24 hours in order to get further information?
I'll go ahead and grant that request. Stay the bonds in the meantime.
Thank you.
After that, I have Charles Butler. Good morning, Mr. Butler. You're here for a charge of aggravated battery on a pregnant person. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case? Do you want a public defender to help you with your case?
I want some help, yes.
Okay. Do you support anybody?
What, do I support anybody?
Okay, and I have to ask you some questions. I don't know if you qualify for a public defender. How many people in your family or in your network do you support?
Me and my mother, I take care of my mother.
You take care of your mother? Okay. And do you work?
Yes, ma'am.
How often are you paid at your job, sir?
I'm paid weekly, but I just started. It's my second, third week.
Okay, so when you bring home your paycheck, how much is it for?
If I can still get it, because
Okay,
I'm still in my probationary period, and if
and now you're missing work. So let me ask you a question. What's your take-home pay after taxes and withholdings?
I make a little under $42 an hour.
You make $42 an hour?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many hours a week do you work?
I work 40 hours a week.
And how much do they keep after taxes and withholding?
I've got a lot of deductions come out of it. I'm trying to,
I can't guess. You need to give me a number.
I know I have $300 a week going into a retirement, and then $40 a week for my medical, and whatever else they take out for Social Security and taxes.
So is it fair to say they withhold $200 for taxes and Social Security?
I guess I haven't seen a physical pay stub yet.
$1340, no dependents. I mean, one dependent. Does he qualify? You make too much money to qualify for the services of the public defender, sir, so you'll need to hire your own attorney. If your financial circumstances change at the next court date, let the judge know. I'll set your bond in the amount of $2,500. You're here for a charge of aggravated battery on a pregnant person. You're to have no contact with that victim, and you're not to own any weapons. Anything else, state?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. That'll conclude your first appearance. Moving on to case number 2022 CF 10128 and 21 CF 4282. What's your name?
Hector Campos Lopez, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir. Do you need a public defender for your new charge of possession of marijuana?
I'll hire my own private attorney, ma'am.
All right, it's possession of marijuana greater than 20 grams. Probable cause has been found. Your bond in that case is $1,000. Sir, one of the conditions of being out on release, like you are in your other felony case, is that you commit no new law violations.
And can I please real quick address the court, ma'am?
You can, but all of your statements are being recorded and can be used against you. And you do have an attorney on your out on bond case. Yes, sir.
Campos.
Yeah, how you doing, ma'am? state court. Yeah.
Against counsel, Your Honor. Yes, he still wants to speak about that.
Ma'am, I was gonna sign a plea yesterday for time served on that other case. My state attorney is Alicia. I've been out on bond for over a year and a half fighting my cases, never missed a court date. I'm just asking you to please let the bond set as what is set right now, and please don't touch the other bonds that I have. Please leave them as such. I have to go to Osceola to take care of something. They have a hold on me. I'm just asking the court to please allow me to do not touch the bonds that was previously on. I got pulled over, I was smoking weed. I'm sorry. I don't really, it's something that could get taken care of. I'm not running from nobody. I'm being a man about mine.
Thank you
I got
for
3
your,
kids at home, and I work 10 hours a day.
thank you for your testimony, sir. Just by the sheer fact that you're smoking weed and you didn't plea out yesterday, I'm revoking your release on possession of firearm by a convicted felon, 2 counts, and possession of ammunition. You're going to be held at no bond. Thank you. He's being held at none. After that is Timothy Casper. Mr. Casper, good afternoon. You're here for case number 2022 CF 9697. Do you need a public defender to help you with your charges?
For the moment, yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. Probable cause has been found for burglary of a dwelling, grand theft, third degree, receiving money from a pawnbroker, dealing in stolen property, and criminal mischief. I'll go ahead and stay those bonds. You're not to return to the scene of the crime at 10231 Glacier Court. You're to have no contact with witness Richard, and you are not to go to any pawnbrokers. The Public Defender's Office will continue to help you. Thank you, sir. After that, I have Mr. Crawford. Good afternoon, Mr. Crawford. You're here because you missed your court dates in case 2021 CF 339AO for 2 counts of grand theft of a firearm. You'll continue to be held at no bond. The Public Defender's Office will continue to help you. But I do want to point out, once you do get released, you have an obligation to report as a sex offender and file those obligations within 2 business days. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Patricia Cole is next. Good afternoon, Ms. Cole. Ms. Cole, it's my understanding you want a public defender. Do you support anybody?
Say that again.
How many people do you support? I'm trying to figure out if you can be appointed a lawyer.
I support myself.
Nobody else?
No, ma'am.
And do you work?
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 jobs.
Okay, how often are you paid at those 2 jobs?
Every 2 weeks.
And what's your take-home pay after taxes and withholdings?
Like 3,000.
After taxes and withholdings?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, you make too much money to qualify for the services of the public defender, but you are entitled to a bond. State any objection to a $3,000 bond.
No objection.
All right, your bond is going to be $3,000. You're to have no contact with the victim or the victim's family. You're to have no,
Who the victim?
hold on.
Or the family. I don't have no.
You're not to have any, you're to have no unsupervised contact with any minor, and you're not to possess any weapons. State, go ahead and put the victim's first name or last name, but not both on record.
Victim's first name is Marcus, Your Honor.
Okay, no contact with that child. Thank you. Well, then, if you encounter a Marcus, don't have contact with them. Thank you.
I don't know who that is. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was arrested.
Can I have, as a friend of the court, just
Yeah, you can.
while
stand-
you continue?
Yeah, you can stand back. Benny Daniels. After that is Tyrese Davenport. Good morning, good afternoon. Are you Mr. Davenport?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. Mr. Davenport, there's a couple of cases that I'm going to address. You're here for a charge of no valid driver's license. In all of these cases that I'm addressing, if you don't have an attorney, do you want a public defender?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. You're here for a charge of no valid driver's license. You missed your court date, so you have a bond of $1,000 in case 20 CT 3365.
Yes, ma'am.
3356. Then you also have a charge for carrying a firearm by a convicted felon. That case is 2020 CF 9934. You missed your court date in that, so your bond is being held at none. And then finally, you have a new charge for possession of cocaine and possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver.
Yes, ma'am.
In that case, I'm finding probable cause. I'll stay your bond, so your bond is $1,100 total.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Public Defender's Office will help you. Thank you, Mr. Davenport.
I apologize, Your Honor. With regard to the no valid, did you say what the bond was on
I'm
that?
staying it.
Thank you.
Jane Doe is next. Do we have a AKA?
No, Your Honor, not as of yet.
In case 2022 CF 10158, that case is a Jane Doe. I want to roll it to tomorrow. I'll appoint the public defender to see if we can get an identity on that.
Okay.
Okay? And that's 2022 CF 10158. After that, I have Ronald Garcia Diaz.
Good afternoon.
Are you Mr. Diaz?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Mr. Diaz, you're here for a charge of carjacking with a weapon or firearm, aggravated assault with a firearm, as well as grand theft. Sir, do you need a public defender to help you with your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
That's okay, so I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender. State, do you want to be heard on these bonds?
Yes, Your Honor. Carjacking with a firearm is punishable by life offense. I would ask defendant be held no bond. I would also ask that he have no contact with the victim and also the co-defendant, Your Honor.
All right, what says defense?
Reserve the right to have Arthur.
All right, on count one, I'm going to modify your bond at no bond, so you'll remain in the Orange County Jail. On count two, on the aggravated assault with the firearm, I'll stay that bond and the grand theft. Your public defender will explain all of this to you. You're to have no contact with the victim or any co-defendants, and you're not to possess any weapons. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. After that, I have Latasha Hale. Good afternoon, Ms. Hale. Hold on, I need to do a search on this case. Ma'am, do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint the public defender's office. And your first name is Latasha?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is 2022 CF 10159AO. And Madam Court Reporter, the scanner is not working. Defense counsel, I'll give you a moment to confer. I'm just trying to establish if there's PC for the enhanced offense.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
She was charged with a driving with license suspended as a third or subsequent offender. I don't think I have PC. I have PC for the lesser included of driving with license suspended. Any objection to me finding PC for a lesser and modifying the bond?
Your Honor, if you give me a moment, I just need to do the research as well. Oh. And I do apologize, my system is incredibly slow if it's reacting at all.
I see a 2013, that's a withhold. And it was to a civil. A 2008, that was a withhold. Any objection, state?
Your Honor, my system is still not responding. Per
All right, we'll pass on Ms. Hale's case. Ms. Hale, why don't you step to the back and I'll go ahead and readdress you shortly.
Yes, ma'am.
Daniel Hearns. Good afternoon, sir. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to appoint them. I find probable cause for a charge of grand theft motor vehicle. Your bond is going to be stayed at $2,000. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
After that is Mohammed Helbel. I'm going to appoint the services of the public defenders. I find probable cause has been found. Let's go ahead and reset to within 24 hours of his return because of the no bond status. Pedro Ilias is next. Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint a public defender. He'll remain at no bond in 21 CF 14670, in 2022 CF 10184. I find probable cause. I'll stay those bonds. Do you need a,
I will
you want to
waive.
waive?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. After that, I have Ancia Johnson. All right, in that case, I have 2022 CF 10167. I'll appoint a public defender. I don't know where that probation is. That's not orange, correct? Okay, are you waiving?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, bond is stayed. Case number 2022 CF 9371. Sir, what's your name?
Anthony Nichols.
Mr. Nickel, you're here for a charge of robbery with a firearm. It looks like you want a lawyer. Do you work?
Yes, ma'am, I work.
And how often do you get a paycheck?
I get paid every week,
Every week? What's your take-home pay?
like $740 a week.
And that's after taxes and stuff? And how many people in your family or your group, in your support system do you support?
My son and my mom.
Okay. With 2 dependents, does he qualify? Based on- Yeah. Okay, you do qualify for the services of the public defender. Sir, you're here for a charge of robbery with a firearm. Probable cause has been found. State, are you seeking to hold him at no bond?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you'll remain, defense, anything?
Your Honor, if you wanted, you do have the discretion to set bond. I see a very limited criminal history. He is employed full-time and supports 2 people at this time. I would ask that you consider using your discretion to set bond in this case.
I'm going to continue to hold you at no bond. You're to have no contact with any co-defendants, no contact with the alleged victim. and you're not to possess any weapons. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Robert Pedreza. State, do you have any prior convictions for a prior battery on this case? Because he was rung in as a battery with a prior.
Your Honor, I apologize. My system had to be restarted. So at this time, I cannot check. If you give me one moment, I'm hoping that will change.
Okay, we're going to pass on Pedreza. I'll recall Pedreza and Hale shortly. After that, I have Dennis Perry. Thank you, Mr. Pedreza. I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Sir, are you Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. Probable cause has been found for an offense of fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer. Any objection to a $2,000 bond from either side?
No objection.
We'll set your bond at $2,000. Stay in touch with your attorney and appear for all future court dates. Thank you. After that, I have Gerald Pierre. Are you Mr. Pierre? Mr. Pierre, you have a failure to appear in case 22 CF 4565 for a charge of possession of fentanyl. Your bond in that case is $1,500. All of your other cases have been previously addressed. You talk to your lawyer.
Your Honor, do you have the, I don't have it with me, but the date he missed court?
He does have a bond. He missed his court date on the 26th of August, but the other cases are what's revoking his release. These other issues. Thank you. Lamel Smith is next. Are you Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, do you need a public defender to help you with your case? Yes or no? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead. You qualify for their services. I'll appoint them. I find probable cause for possession of MDMA ecstasy as resisting officer without violence. I'll go ahead and stay your bond. Your total bond is $1,100. Thank you. Marcus Thomas is next. Are you Mr. Thomas? Do you already have a public defender that's helping you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, they'll continue to help you with your case. You missed your court date on the 18th of August for possession of controlled substance. You're now being held at no bond. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. The next case is 2022 CF 8779, Aaron Wems. Are you Mr. Wems? Mr. Wems, do you want a public defender to help you with your felony and misdemeanor charges? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Is that a yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. I do find probable cause. State, do you want to be heard on monetary bond on count one?
No, Your Honor.
All right, because of the facts of this case, as well as your failures to appear and your criminal history, I'm setting bond at $15,000 on count one, and on count two, I'll stay the bond. So your bond is $15,100. You're to have no contact with the victim. You're not to return to the scene of the crime. You're not to have any contact with any co-defendants, nor are you to have any weapons. Thank you, Mr. Wems. After that is Travis Zipper.
That will waive, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll appoint a public defender in any in any new cases. And there is a waiver. Case 2022 CF 384180. Defendant has meth, heroin, and paraphernalia charges. And the state has taken no action in more than 4 months. So on that case, I'll take no action. In case number 2022 CT 1918AO. A capias was issued this morning. I don't have an amount. In case number 2022 CT 1916AO. There was a capias issued this morning, so I'm going to take no action on those. Then in case 22 CF 10181, I'll stay those bonds. Total bond is $1,100. He has a $500 bond in 2022. Oh, I think that's it. Oh, he has more cases. 2022 CT 101AA. That bond is $500, and I'll stay it. In case 2022 101 AA, I'll stay that bond, 500. Thank you. State, are you ready for me to recall those cases?
At least, Mr. Pedraza, Your Honor, I did not find the two previous batteries, Your Honor.
All right. Let's bring Pedraza back in. Anybody have a statute number for simple bat? No. Thank you. Sir, do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint them. Give me just a moment. Glasses.
$784.031A.
All right, Mr. Pedraza, I find probable cause for some of these and probable cause for a lesser. You were arrested for a charge of possession of a controlled drug without a prescription. I'll stay that bond at $150. You were arrested for a charge of assault with an aggravated assault with an intent to commit a battery. I'll stay that bond at $150. On count 3, you were arrested for burglary with assault or battery therein. State, do you want to be heard on that? He went into the car and hit him.
It is punishable by life, Your Honor. However, Your Honor, I'd leave it at your discretion. The facts are not overly...
Yeah, I'm inclined to give him a monetary bond.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to set that bond at $7,500. And on count 4, I find probable cause for a lesser included offense under Florida Statute 784.03 sub 1A. I'm going to set that bond at $100. Mr. Pedraza, you're to have no contact with the victim. Do not go near his car. Do not go near him at Wawa. You're not allowed to have any weapons. So that pocket knife you're not allowed to have.
Yes, ma'am.
All weapons do need to be surrendered to local law enforcement, and you're not to use any illegal drugs. That concludes your case, but you do have monetary bonds as to all counts. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Your Honor,
I feel like
on the misdemeanor case,
the resisting.
Did not, I do have a resisting. I'll modify that bond to 100 and treat it as a subsidiary. I do find probable cause in case 2022 MM381AA. What about Hale?
I'm still looking, Your Honor. I do apologize.
Okay. Any objection to me finding it to a lesser and modifying her bond to 1,000?
If you give me just 1 minute, Your Honor.
Anything else I need to sign? All right, corrections. Here's all your paper. Thank you.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, let's bring Hale back. Three two two point 3.1 sub 2, driving with license suspended misdemeanor. Ms. Hale, you were arrested for a charge of driving with license suspended as a third or subsequent offender. You do have a public defender who's going to help you with this case. But because of the paperwork that I have, I'm going to find lesser, that they only have probable cause for a lesser of driving with license suspended under Florida statute 322.34 subsection 2. That's numbers for the attorney. In doing so, I'm reducing your bond and modifying it to $1,000. You're to not drive until you get a valid license. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, they said he had 8 days in Palm Beach. And they actually said
Okay. You know I can't hear you, right? I believe we are.
She's still sitting there.
It was excellent. It was a great.
Don't bring that up. It was not for me. For her, yes, maybe. No, it's here.
Did you get a key ring or a? Just, I just wanted to make sure that you got one. That's all.
Yes, she wants to make sure. Grapevine speak alike.
I did. I haven't seen my family. So it was nice to see them, and then I did the tourist thing. So.
Yeah, and guess what? They got phone booths. Remember? They got phone booths.
He's
obsessed with
that
phone
sings
booths.
thing. Thank you, Rebecca. I like that hair on you. So pretty.
Good morning, this is Judge Bigney. Do I have an interpreter online?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is your name?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mary, M-A-R-Y.
And Mary, please raise your right hand. Do you
Yes, ma'am, I
solemnly
do.
swear to interpret from English to Uzbekistan language and Uzbekistan back to English to the best of your ability, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please interpret. What is your name?
My name.
My name, Deputy.
Shukrullah, Sher Mahdi.
Please answer, do you speak, what language is your primary language? Please interpret.
Shukrullah, assalomu alaykum. Sizni ona tilingiz qaysi til?
Uzbek tili.
Uzbek.
Please respond in your language. You're here for a new charge of child abuse. Please interpret.
Siz hozir bu yerda yangitdan sizga nisbatan qo'zg'atilgan ish bo'yicha, ya'ni child abuse bolaga nisbatan siz bu yerdasiz hozir.
I will appoint a public defender, a lawyer, to help you with your case. Please
I'm sorry,
interpret.
Your Honor. There is static on, ma'am. Would you mind repeating it, please?
I'm going to give you a lawyer from the public defender's office to help you with your case. Please interpret.
Sizga cases bo'yicha, dealers bo'yicha yordam berish uchun men sizga advokat beraman.
Your bond is $7,500. Please interpret.
Sizni bondingiz $7,500 AQSh dollari.
You need to abide with the Department of Children and Families investigation. Please interpret.
Siz bolalarni va oilani himoya qilish markazi bilan bog'lanishingiz kerak.
You're not to own any weapons.
Siz hech qanaqa qurol yaroq ushlashingiz kerak emas. O'zingizga egalik qilishingiz kerak emas.
I am advising you that you have a bond on this case, but not on your violation of probation.
Hozir mana shu case bo'yicha sizda bondingiz bor, lekin sizni probation, ya'ni va bu mana shu cases bo'yicha yo'q sizda.
Anything else, public defender's office? Please interpret.
Qolganlari esa, qolgan boshqa barcha murojaatingiz bo'yicha public defender's office'ga murojaat qilasiz.
No, Your Honor.
State, anything? Please interpret.
Shtat yana boshqa narsa qo'shimcha qilishni xohlaysizmi?
Your Honor, I don't know what the DCF investigation is, so I would also ask for a no contact with the victims and any witness.
I'm also ordering no contact with the children while this case is ongoing. Please interpret. Can you please interpret? We can't hear you. No contact with your children. Did we get loser? Can you hear us okay, Madam Interpreter? Okay, let's try calling her back. Brief hold. Should I grab that or you think? Does it take a while to get him on language line? Okay, I'll take a brief moment. I'm going to take a brief recess. And I think this is the one where his attorney may have reached out. No, that's not. Okay, that's another Georgia? From Georgia, okay. All right. But let me just make sure I keep track of who. Okay, so this one I've signed. Yeah. Thank you. While I'm doing this, can you ask everybody to stand out there and raise their right hand, swear them in? These are all waved, thank you. Thank you.
Can everyone in the audience stand and raise your right hand so you can be sworn in? You have to stand. Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Let's see how quickly he can come in. That's Roque. You have Roque, right? That's Roque. Has he been transported up? Okay. Well, I will give his attorney some time to handle this. What time do you want to come back? We'll work at your convenience since he's late. Starts to get too long, he'll have to get past. Yeah, there you go. No, it's okay.
We're still on hold, right?
And how come they're just not gonna pick up? Dodd. Michelle, okay. Thank you. All right. Corrections, do you mind if we keep moving down the docket while we wait for that interpreter? Okay.
We can't do the Creole yet. We're on standby.
State, he is entitled to a bond. I believe he's in on other charges nonetheless. Do you have a factual basis in 22 CF 10069AO? And if it wasn't done yesterday, a public defender is appointed.
Thank you. She's
Hold on one second.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant received 2 pretrial release conditions on cases 21 CF 1365 and 21 CF 1663. 1663 specifically prohibits contact with the victim, Adriel de Oliveira. On 5/31/21, the victim observed the defendant driving a gray Toyota Camry past her residence. The victim identified the defendant as the driver of the vehicle. And it was noted again that the no contact order was already in place. Also, from February 28th of 21 through to September of 2021, the defendant has sent the victim text messages, voicemails, and emails. And I do have specific dates if you need those, Your Honor.
I did review the information. Okay, based on that defense, do you want to be heard on bond in case ending in 6-9 only?
No, Your Honor, I just asked that you set a reasonable bond.
All right, I'm going to do no weapons, abide by all prior court orders, no contact, and bond is set at $10,000. Refusal, and PD is appointed. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
And I will waive, Your Honor.
All right, his bond, I'll go ahead, because of the mental health issues, but no, I'll go ahead and modify his bond to $100 with a no return. After that, I have Ernest Petway. Corrections, is there also any kind of hold on? Was there any kind of hold on him before he bonded?
He just has the fugitive hold, Your Honor.
Okay, so he's, thank you. After that, I have Timothy Atkins. Petaway, bonded. I'll appoint the services of the public defender on Mr. Atkins' case. Is Ashley Miranda present? No response in 22 CF 10190AO. Based on the history that I see on the strangulation, I'm setting bond at $2,500. The battery bond will be $100 for a total of $2,600. No contact. Maintain separate residence. Defendant is not to have any weapons to be surrendered within 4 hours of release. Again, one-time return.
Thank you.
on Atkins. Defense, are you waiving?
Yes, Your Honor.
After that, I have Joshua Hammond, 22 CF 10168. Are you Mr. Hammond?
No.
And is Ms. Flowers present? 2022 CF 10168AO. Sir, you're here for a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Do you need a public defender to help you with your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. Based on your criminal history and the facts of this case, I'm setting your bond at $3,500. You're to have no contact with Ms. Flowers, not even for the purposes of the child.
Ma'am.
You cannot go to where she lives, works, or is known to frequent, and you're not allowed to have any weapons.
Yes, ma'am.
Any weapons must be surrendered within 4 hours of your release. Do you have any questions for me, Mr.
No,
Hammond?
ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right, you have an attorney. Thank you. After that, I have Brandon James, 22C. Brandon James in 22 CF 10172AO. Is victim Linda present? No response. 22 CF 10172. He was arrested for battery by strangulation and battery domestic violence. I have reviewed his history. I'll appoint a public defender. Based on the facts of this case on the strangulation, I'm setting bond at $2,000. And on the battery charge, I'm setting bond at $100. He's to have no contact with the victim, maintain separate residence. One-time return, victim can stay, he cannot go back there.
And I will waive, Your Honor.
And I'll also order no weapons, weapons to be surrendered within 4 hours of release. That's a waiver. Gary Morgan, 2022 CF 10189AO. In this case, I do find probable cause for the charge of battery by strangulation. Defense, are you waiving?
I will waive, Your Honor.
I find probable cause. Defendant is to have no contact with the victim. He's to maintain a separate residence. I do have concerns about his lack of, about not knowing enough about where he lives, so I'm going to set bond at $2,000. Defendant must surrender any weapons within 2 hours of his release from jail. Again, no contact. Victim can stay in the residence. Defendant cannot. One-time return with a law enforcement officer, and defendant is not to possess, use, or consume any alcohol. Corrections, before I finalize that bond, how long has he been living here, if you know?
He says that he's owned his home for at least 12 years.
Okay, state anything else or defense?
Based on that, Your Honor, any objection to pretrial release?
Yes. I'm not going to put him on pretrial release based on these facts.
Oh.
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
And is victim April present? No response. Juan Pablo Reyes. Sorry about that. Usually they go felony. So, what's your name?
Juan Reyes.
22 CF 10173AO. Sir, do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, please.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. Is victim Allison present? No response. Sir, I find probable cause for charges of battery by strangulation and battery domestic violence. On count 1, I'm setting your bond at $1,500. On count 2, I'm setting your bond at $100 for a total of $1,600. You're to have no contact with victim Allison. You must maintain a separate residence. If you're living together, she can stay. You cannot go back. I'll give you a one-time exception. You have to be accompanied by a law enforcement officer, and you're not to possess any weapons, Mr. Reyes. Any weapons must be surrendered to law enforcement within 4 hours of your release from jail. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
What's your question?
If I'm moving out, I don't know if I can do it all in one time.
You have a one-time return, and you must be accompanied by a law enforcement officer. I believe this is Maitland Police Department. Call the Maitland Police Department. They'll escort you. They'll give you your time limitation. It is not there for a total move-out. You grab a bag of your personal effects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lemsky Sanlat. I'm only addressing the Okay, Lemsky Sandlot, case number 22CF10193. Sir, you were arrested for a charge of burglary of an occupied dwelling, criminal mischief, and assault, dating violence. Sir, do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. I find probable cause. I'm going to stay the bonds on counts 1 and 2. On count 3, I'm setting bond at $100. You're to have no contact with the victim, Chameleon, in this case. You cannot go to where she lives, works, or is known to frequent. And you're not allowed to have any weapons. Weapons need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release. Anything else, state or defense?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. After that, I have Madge Hoffman.
He refused.
22 MM 5955. I'll appoint the services of the public defender. In this case, are you going to waive?
Yes, Your Honor.
I find probable cause in this matter. Is James West present? No response. Based on the defendant's history, I'm setting bond at $1,500. She's to have no contact with the victim and must maintain separate residence. I'll allow a one-time return, and defendant is not allowed to have any weapons to be surrendered within 4 hours of release. After that is Tommy Lee Jackson. 22 MM 5957. Mr. Jackson, do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. I do find probable cause. Is Takieta present? No response. Sir, based on the facts of this case and your criminal history and no input from the victim, on count 1, I'm setting your bond at $1,750. On count 2, your bond is $100 for a total of $1,850. You're to have no contact with the victim of this case, not even for purposes of the child. If you live together, she can stay. You're not allowed to live together.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll let you do a one-time return so long as you're accompanied by a police officer. Do not go back there without a police officer, and you're not allowed to have any weapons. Weapons need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release. Mr. Jackson, do you have any questions? State or defense, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Next up is Darius Laster. Good morning, Mr. Laster. You're here in case number 2022 MM 597080. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
No, ma'am.
Do you plan to
Honor?
represent yourself or hire your own attorney?
Represent myself.
Okay. Is victim Brianna present? Brianna.
Your Honor, I understand that the victim was present but had to return to the car. So if we could just bypass this defendant?
Okay, I'll recall Mr. Laster.
Thank you.
Julian LaPont. Liana Pont. Thank you. Is victim Pablo present? State any objection to pretrial diversion in this case? Pretrial release, rather.
If she qualifies, Your Honor, no. No
Oh,
objection.
ma'am, do you need a public defender to help you with your case? That's a lawyer. I'll go ahead and appoint them. PD's office confer and see if she wants monetary or PTR.
Your, which monetary bond were you considering?
I would set it 500.
She would like the monetary bond, Your Honor.
Ma'am, I'm going to set your bond at $500. I find probable cause for the offense of battery domestic violence. You're to have no contact with the victim, Pablo, in this case. You're to maintain a separate residence. I'll allow you to return one time, but you must be accompanied by a police officer. And Ms. LaPonte, you're not allowed to have any weapons. Any weapons need to be surrendered to law enforcement within 4 hours of your release. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
All right, thank you. That concludes your case.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Jorge Masonette.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Masonette, you were arrested for a charge of battery domestic violence. Do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint their services. Is victim Paula present? No response. Sir, based on your criminal history, I'm going to set your bond at $750. You're to have no contact with Paula. You must maintain a separate residence. She can stay in the residence. You cannot go back, but I will make a one-time exception so long as you're accompanied by a police officer. You're also not allowed to possess any weapons. Weapons need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release, and you're not to possess, use, or consume any alcohol or any illegal drugs.
Your Honor, DCF was contacted regarding this case.
I'll go ahead and order that you comply with any Department of Children and Family questioning.
Thank you.
Daniel Gonzalez is next.
Yeah, just let them know.
Are you Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, you have a warrant out of Brevard County, Florida for neglect of a child and battery domestic violence. You have a bond of $5,000 on count 1 and no bond on count 2. While you're in the Orange County Jail, would you like a public defender? That's a lawyer.
No, it's okay.
All right, thank you. Christian Rollins. Medical? On that case, he's on a no bond warrant for murder and F220150016. I'll appoint a public defender for while he's here. Do you want to waive?
Yes, Your Honor.
So noted. Ruben Troncanso. Good morning, sir. You're here for a violation of probation for the underlying offense of carrying a concealed weapon, resisting officer with violence, rather. This warrant is out of Seminole County, Florida, and you'll be held at no bond. Thank you. Do you need a public defender for while you're here?
I got a lawyer.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Still holding? What's your name?
Charles.
Mr. Charles, you're here in case 2016 CF15980AO. You're on probation for a charge of burglary of a dwelling. Do you want a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint their services. It's alleged that while you were on probation, you unsuccessfully you were unsuccessful with the STEPS program. Defense counsel, would you like me to enter denial?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll enter denial. You'll remain at no bond status. Thank you, Mr. Charles. After that is Cornelius Dawson. Are you Mr. Dawson? Mr. Dawson, do you need a public defender to help you with your charges?
Ma'am.
Sir, you were placed on probation for an offense of carjacking with a deadly weapon. It's alleged that while on probation, you tested positive for marijuana. I'll appoint since you have a public defender, shall I enter a denial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll go ahead and enter denial. You'll remain at no bond, Mr. Dawson. Nicholas Fedorsiak is next.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're here in case number 2022 MM2708AO. Sir, in that matter, you were placed on probation in May for a charge of petty theft. It's alleged that you committed an offense of possession of fentanyl, possession of marijuana, driving with license suspended, all that on or about August 22nd, and you failed to meet your cost of supervision. Sir, it looks like you want a public defender. I'm not sure if you qualify. You're not going to be able to work because you're in jail, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So your income is zero?
Yeah.
Okay. You do qualify for the services of the public defender. I'll appoint them to represent you, and you'll remain at no bond on this misdemeanor violation of probation. Good luck to you, sir. because he's in jail, he has zero income.
Okay.
Okay? You got one? What language? All right, let's go ahead and recall the Uzbek interpreter. Do I have an interpreter online? Do I have an interpreter on the line?
Yes, ma'am, interpreter is here.
All right, is this the interpreter I used previously by the name of Mary?
No, ma'am, my name is Holly.
Do you solemnly swear to interpret from English to Uzbek and Uzbek to English to the best of your ability, so help you God? Madam Interpreter, yes or no?
Swear, Your Honor.
Do you solemnly swear to interpret from English to Uzbek
Yes.
and Uzbek to English to the best of your abilities, so help you God?
I do.
Sir, we're also ordering that you have no contact with your children and no contact with anybody under the age of 18. Madam Interpreter, please interpret.
Janob, assalomu alaykum, yaxshimisiz? Yozib qo'yapmiz. Bolalaringiz bilan aloqaga chiqmagansiz. 18 yoshdan yosh bo'lgan hech kim bilan aloqaga chiqmagansiz.
This is in addition to all other conditions that I previously told you about. Please interpret.
Bu endi yana qo'shimcha ravishda sizga boshqa shartlarini aytib qo'yganmiz. Bu endi qo'shimcha ravishda.
Anything else, state or defense?
Just for the state, Your Honor, can you repeat the case number, please?
Please interpret. Madam Interpreter.
Iltimos, ishimizni raqamini ayting.
22 CF 101 94AO.
Thank you.
Sir, do you have any questions for the court? Please interpret.
Janob, sud uchun biror xil savollaringiz bormi?
Yo'q, shu 7,5 mingni to'lab chiqib ketsam tushunmadim. Men buni ikkinchisiga 0 qilib qo'yishgan. Men qolganini o'zim lawyerim bilan advokatim bilan gaplashsam bo'ladimi? Shu 7,5 mingni to'lab turib, natsa bo'ldi, bond ishdida.
Uzr so'rayman, ovozingiz umuman eshitilmayapti. I cannot hear the person's voice. I'm gonna ask him to repeat, please. Iltimos yana bir marta balandroq qaytaring. Umuman ovozingiz eshitilmadi.
Please tell him to speak into the microphone. Please interpret.
Mikrofonga gapiring, iltimos.
7,5 ming hozir menga bond qo'yishdi. Shu bond to'lab chiqib ketib, qolgan ishlarni nima bilan advokatim bilan hal qilsam bo'ladimi yo yo'qmi? Shu xolos meni savolim.
Yes, so I was given 7,500 bond. Can I pay it and go? And I'm gonna deal with all the other questions with my lawyer, if I'm understanding correctly.
Give me one moment. Please interpret.
Bir daqiqa menga bering hozir.
Sir, you are on probation for a different case from 2019. Please interpret.
Janob, siz 2019-da boshlangan ish uchun hozir mana shu sinov muddatida turibsiz.
In that case, you have no monetary bond or no terms of release.
O'sha
Please interpret.
2019-yilda 2019-yilda ish ochilganiga sizga bond qo'yilmagan. Deganiki chiqish shartlari yo'q u ishda.
So even if you post that bond, you're still going, even if you give $7,500, you'll still remain in jail on a different case. Please interpret.
Hozir 7,5 mingni to'lasangiz ham baribir qamoqda qolasiz. Chunki anavi birinchi ishingiz hali bor 2009-chi.
Please call your attorney, Courtney Daly, with any questions.
Iltimos, advokatingizga qo'ng'iroq qiling. Ismlari Courtney Daly. Hamma savollaringizni o'qishiga bering.
That concludes your case. Thank you, thank you, sir.
Shu bilan ishingizni hozir tugatyapmiz. Rahmat sizga.
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll hang up with the interpreter.
Your Honor?
That was a case from 8-5. He was
Choosing our
already,
services, interpreter will disconnect.
thank you. The VOP he was already done, but he asked the question, yes.
I believe the victim in Darius Lester has returned, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I'll keep going through the docket and I'll return to that one.
Like we're calling the Spanish interpreter?
Okay.
But she's from Dallas.
Is she on right now, available right now?
Yes.
Okay, let me do Creole interpreter.
Good morning.
Good
Good morning. This is the Creole interpreter.
Okay, give me just a moment.
Okay.
Can you sound check? Do you use the the headset?
Yes.
All right, let's do a sound check.
Your Honor, the victim also needs a Creole interpreter.
Thank you. Mr. Arson,
Are you, the headset is not on the gentleman?
you know what? We're gonna go off headset because the victim also needs one.
Okay.
Please ask Marie Joseph and Mr. Arson to raise their right hand.
OK. Marie-Joseph et Monsieur Hassan, est-ce que nous sommes capables de lever main droite nous?
Go ahead.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to
Est-ce
give
que nous sermentons que témoignage
shall be,
soit pas à la vérité?
shall be the truth, the
Oh,
whole truth, so help you God?
Est-ce que nous sermentons que témoignage soit pas à la vérité ou toute la vérité, rien que la vérité devant bon Dieu?
Please state
Yes.
Please state your name.
Sorry, I forgot that I was not on the headset. Sorry.
Okay, everybody can put their hand down. Sir, what is your name?
Monsieur qui Jean Relais?
Non, monsieur Aristide Jean Dadi.
Qui Jean?
Aristide Jean Dadi.
Aristide Jean Dadi.
Are you Miss Joseph?
Ou c'est Madame Joseph? Yes.
I'm going to ask that you speak closer to the microphone, Miss Joseph.
Madame Joseph m'a demandé de parler plus près micro.
I'll appoint a public defender to
M'a
help.
pas un défenseur public pour aider.
Sir, you were arrested for battery domestic violence.
Monsieur, il a été arrêté pour attaque, violence domestique.
C'est ça, au bas moi, normalement, je dois défendre moi de lui parce que je ne pas aucune violence.
That's the charge that they give me, and I would like to defend myself from it because I didn't do any violence.
Do you need a lawyer to help you with your case?
Est-ce que vous avez besoin d'un avocat pour aider avec vous?
Yes or no?
Oui ou non?
Je pourrais me discuter avec moi, mon petit moun.
I would need to discuss that with my children.
Well, I don't have a way to let you talk to your children right now. Do you want a lawyer today?
Moi pas gen un moyen pour quitter ou parler avec Timounio Jodia et moi vle connaître est-ce que vous voulez un avocat kounya oui ou non?
Bon avocat.
Pardon?
Bon avocat.
Yes, give me an attorney.
So noted. Ms. Joseph, is this your, do you have children with this man?
Madame Joseph, est-ce que vous avez un timoun ensemble avec monsieur ça?
Oui, j'ai 3 petits moun avec.
Yes, I have 3 children with him.
Do you live together?
Nous vivons ensemble?
Oui.
Yes.
Are you afraid of him?
Est-ce que vous parlez?
M'pa pele papa petit moun liye.
I'm not afraid. He's the father of my children.
Do you want him to return home?
Est-ce que vous t'avez pour lui retourner la caille là?
Oui. M'vle
Yes.
parce que depuis hier soir ti moun yon pe de crier, moi-même tout m'pa vive bien.
Yes, because since last night the kids are crying and me too. I'm not feeling good.
State, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
L'État pas aucune autre question?
Defense, any questions?
No,
La défense a une question. Il dit non.
Sir, I'm going to set your bond at $500.
Monsieur m'a mette caution bon nous à $500.
You cannot do anything to harm, threaten, or scare Miss Joseph or your children.
Ou pas capable faire rien pour faire Madame Joseph avec Timoun yo peur, pour yo faire yo du mal ou bien pour faire aucune menace pa yo.
You're not allowed to drink any alcohol or use any illegal drugs.
Ou pas gen droit boire aucun tafia ou pas gen droit prendre aucune drogue.
You're not allowed to have any weapons.
Ou pas gen droit gen aucun zam.
Weapons need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release.
Tout zam que ou t'a pas capable gagner déjà ou besoin remettre yo by la police 4 heures après que ou fin relâché.
The Department of Children and Families was called. Please,
Yo tere les
please
yo
comply.
tere les départements Timoun avec famille et ou besoin obéir ça yo pour le fait.
Thank you. That ends your case.
OK, nous finissons avec ça jodia.
Thank you, Miss Joseph.
Merci Madame Joseph.
J'ai une question s'il vous plaît.
I have a question please.
What's the question?
Une question.
Encore $500 nous monde est-ce que si $500 bay konya n'a pas lâcher les?
The $500 that you mentioned, is it like we need to give $500 so he can be released?
You can do a cash bond or use a bondsman.
Ou capable de servir avec un bon cash ou bien capable de servir avec ça qui relève un bondsman.
Thank you.
Okay, merci.
Okay, merci.
Is that the only one for me, George?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
William Brandon Sperling. Are you Mr. Sperling? Give me a moment. Mr. Sperling, you're here for a violation of probation. Do you want a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes.
All right, you do qualify for the public defender's office. Give me just a moment to check something. How many days does he have in? Give me a moment, everybody, on this matter. Defense, do you want an offer on this case? I have the probation's recommendation in this file. Hold on a moment. Let me just do the math on this. He was on probation in April. He's 4 months. RD. You know, so he pled to a wet RD. He was sentenced on August. Probation is proposing a new term of probation. The allegation is a new offense of DWLS. I'll give you two options. He's previously been adjudicated guilty. If not, he will be 15 days in the county jail with credit for 3 days time served. Revoke and terminate probation. His license will remain D6 until he completes all conditions. In the alternative, I would adjudicate him guilty, sentence him to 5 days with credit for 3, and place him on probation for an extra 100 days to complete all conditions. And D6 until he completes. I'll give you time to talk to him while I do the fugitive case. The Darius Laster.
Okay.
Can you switch spots with him? Darius Laster. Sir, you were arrested for a charge of battery domestic dating violence in case 2022 MM5970. Mr. Laster, do you need a public defender to help you with your charges?
No, ma'am.
Do you plan to represent yourself or hire your own attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, which one?
I mean, just represent myself.
All right. Ma'am, please raise your right hand. I'll have you sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Rihanna Velasquez.
And how do you know Mr. Laster, ma'am?
He's my boyfriend.
Do you live together?
No.
And do you want contact with him?
Yes.
Are you in fear of him?
No.
State, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, do you have any questions? No. State, he has a prior DV. Is this the same victim? Again, it was an arrest, but is it the same victim?
For the face sheet, Your Honor, it says that it is not, but I can double check that if you like.
Please. I don't think it is.
It appears to be an offense from 2017, Your Honor, and it is not the same victim.
All right. Mr. Laster and Ms. Velasquez, I do have concerns about your safety and the safety of the community. I'm ordering that he have no contact with you while this case is going on. Mr. Laster, again, that's directed to you. You cannot contact the victim. That would be a violation of a court order. You're not allowed to have any weapons. If you do have any weapons, they need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release from jail. I'm setting your bond at $1,000. Again, no contact with the victim.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your testimony, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do you have an admit, does he want to accept that?
Yes, Your Honor, he wants to accept the option of the 15 days, adjudication, 15 days with credit for 3, I believe you said?
Yes.
And revoke and terminate probation and D6's license until he completes the remaining tasks.
All right, do you have an admission form?
Yes, Your Honor, I just need to make the offer.
Mhm. If he is in arrears, he will owe those court costs, though I can't do anything about that. But he's, oh yeah, there are arrearages.
And once he, you said D6 until he completes the terms of his probation that were originally placed on him. Does he just turn that over to the clerk's office and that gets lifted?
So, I don't know if he's done anything, but he does need to present proof to the clerk of court's office. In the D6, once he completes the DUI counterattack school and the victim awareness panel, you put in your DL number and it should populate with that.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, please raise your right hand. I'll have you sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God? Thank you.
You'll need to answer loud enough so I can hear you. State your full name.
William Brandon Sperling,
Mr. Sperling, what's the highest grade that you finished in school?
some college, so,
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
yes,
I see that I have a signed plea form. Did you sign it and did you read it?
yes, ma'am, I
Did
did.
you have enough time to talk to your lawyer about this case?
Yes, ma'am,
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, medication, or do you have any health conditions that's affecting your ability to understand what's going on right now?
no,
Sir, do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering an admission today?
yes,
Sir, do you admit or deny committing an offense of driving with license suspended on or about July 27th?
I admit,
And do you admit or deny failing to pay your costs of supervision in the month of July?
I admit,
Did anybody force you to make these admissions?
no,
Do you understand that you're giving up your right to a hearing in this matter?
yes, ma'am,
At this time, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty if you were not previously adjudicated. I'm sentencing you to 15 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 3 days' time served. Your cost of supervision of $50 will be transferred to the clerk of court for your payment plan, or for your payment arrangements. You must comply with all costs that were previously ordered, plus the additional $50, and the $50 for the public defender services for today. Your license will remain suspended or D6 until you complete all conditions of your previously ordered probation. And I'm going to revoke and terminate your period of probation. Again, do not drive without a valid license because you don't have one. Thank you. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence. Let's go ahead and recall the fugitive warrant case. All right, can I have that file? Thank you. Give me a moment to just switch gears.
Portuguese.
Defense counsel, I'm going to be addressing Alex Roque de Oliveira. Do you have a copy of your motion printed?
I do, Your Honor. May I approach?
Oh, I'm sorry. Clerk just handed me one. Thank you. No need to approach. Is there any bond on record on fugitive warrant 22, inmate 22-20105AO? Can I get appearance for defense counsel?
Benjamin Jones for defense.
Oh, we need a Portuguese interpreter.
We do, Your Honor.
Okay, sorry, we're working on that. Stand by. But he does have the benefit of counsel. Is this a no bond warrant?
Yes, ma'am. It is, it states on there, the county said that they would issue it once he got up there.
Hello.
Do I have a Portuguese interpreter online?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll be your Portuguese interpreter.
And your name, please.
My name is Temple, ID number 379719.
Temple, you're going to be translating for a court hearing, so please raise your right hand.
All right.
Do you solemnly swear to interpret from English to Portuguese and Portuguese to English to the best of your abilities, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. To everybody in the courtroom who's going to be addressing questions by me or have speak, please make sure you break with enough time so the interpreter can translate. Please ask Mr. Roque de Oliveira to raise his right hand.
Então, Sr. Roque de Oliveira.
Sorry.
Senhor de Oliveira.
Please raise your right hand.
Por favor, levante sua mão direita.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Então, o senhor jura solenemente e afirma que o depoimento que está prestes a dar será verdadeiro de visto de Deus.
Sim.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sir, you were arrested for a warrant out of Georgia.
Então, senhor, você foi prendido de acordo com uma acusação de Georgia.
It's alleged that you committed an offense of financial identity fraud.
Está acusado de fazer crime de roubo de identidade financeira.
Counsel, go ahead and make your argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. For the record, Benjamin Jones.
Counsel, what are you seeking?
Yes, Your Honor. Então, agora o advogado vai falar. O nome dele é Benjamin Jones.
We're seeking a bond in this matter so that Mr. Roque de Oliveira can turn himself into Walton County, Georgia, on his own accord.
Estamos procurando vínculo nessa questão para que o senhor de Oliveira poderá se dar para o condado de sua própria vontade.
The crimes that are alleged to have occurred in Georgia are financial offenses.
Os crimes que ele é acusado de ter feito em Georgia são ofensas financeiras.
And Mr. Roque de Oliveira has no prior criminal history.
E o senhor Roque de Oliveira não tem nenhum histórico criminoso antes disso.
He is a resident of Orange County, Florida.
One moment. Warrant?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your position on defense getting a monetary bond?
We always ask for a no bond status, ma'am, so that way the other state can go forward with extraditing him.
Please interpret.
Então, a posição do proscritor é que vai pedir status de não ter nenhuma multa assim, para que o senhor possa ser deportado imediatamente para outro estado.
For what it's worth, Your Honor, the defense believes that Mr. Roque de Oliveira is himself a victim of identity theft.
E eu espero que isso vale para juiz, mas que o senhor Roque de Oliveira acredita que ele mesmo é vítima de roubo de identidade.
Defense counsel, what kind of bond are you suggesting?
We would request a bond of $5,000 with the special condition that he be given whatever time period the court deems appropriate to get from here to Walton County, Georgia, which is just outside of Atlanta, and provide proof to the court that he has turned himself in within that period of time.
Então, nós estamos pedindo uma condição de $5.000 e o tempo suficiente para o senhor de Oliveira ir daqui para o condado de Walton, em Georgia, que fica fora de Atlanta, para dar comprovante que o senhor se admitiu para responder às acusações.
The court is relying on Florida Statute 940, Section 941.
Então, o juiz está examinando, vai agir de acordo com a estátua ou a lei de Flórida de seção 941.
As well as 918.
E também 918.
I will grant that request.
Eu vou aprovar esse pedido.
And set bond at the amount of $5,000.
Então, essa multa vai ser marcada ao valor de $5,000.
Your attorney said that you reside here in Orlando.
O advogado falou que o senhor mora aqui em Orlando.
You must surrender your passport within 3 hours of your release.
O senhor terá de nos dar, de passar seu passaporte dentro de 3 horas depois de ser libertado.
To either the clerk of court or your attorney.
Deve dar isso para o escrituário do tribunal ou ao seu advogado.
I will give you 10 days to 10 business days to report to
Vou te
Walton
dar-
County, Georgia.
Pardon me, Your Honor. Eu vou te dar 10 dias úteis para você ir e se apresentar ao condado de Walton, de Georgia.
But I am only addressing this one case.
Mas eu estou falando sobre apenas esse caso.
Anything else, defense?
No, Your Honor.
A defesa... Pardon me,
Any-
sir. A
anything- Sorry.
Pardon me, Your Honor. Go ahead.
Anything else, warrants?
Yes, ma'am. He actually did sign a waiver of extradition. Now, do we want to continue with that or say that he is contesting? Because I have to provide something to show Walton County. Yes, he is going to get a bond, but in case he does not bond out.
Então, sim, senhora. Ele realmente assinou documento de isenção de extradição. Então, eu quero saber agora se ele vai continuar com isso ou vai contestar esse documento de acordo com o valor que recebeu do condado de Walton.
Was the waiver signed, was the waiver reviewed with a Portuguese interpreter?
It was reviewed with a CO here for Spanish interpreter.
All right, so go ahead and interpret.
Então, será que esse documento foi assinado depois de ajuda do intérprete português? Esse documento foi assinado com a ajuda do intérprete aprovado de espanhol.
Not the same thing.
Okay.
Defense counsel, are you withdrawing the waiver of extradition at this time that your client signed?
Então, senhor advogado de defesa, você agora vai tirar esse documento de isentação de extradição agora que o seu cliente assinou?
What I've done in the past and what I think would be appropriate here is to keep the waiver in place. That way, if he can't bond out, the process has already started to get him up there. The whole goal is to get him there fast. So I would like it, if that's not a problem for warrants, to maintain that so that if for whatever...
Interpret, please. Sorry.
Então, pardon me, Your Honor. Então, eu gostaria de manter esse documento como já está, pois o nosso alvo é para ele chegar lá em Georgia o mais rápido possível. Então, caso que isso não teria nenhum problema com a questão de acusação legal que foi feita, eu gostaria de manter assim.
So with that being said, Your Honor, I don't know if the waiver he signed is effective, but as his attorney, I will waive extradition at this point on my client's behalf.
All right, go ahead and have the attorney initial that as well.
Então, agora, como eu falei, senhora, eu não sei o que eu já fiz no passado, é que eu vou mandar para abrir mão desse documento de extradição agora.
Defense counsel.
Tá bom, senhor. Pardon me, Your Honor.
Oh, sorry for interrupting. Defense counsel, do you have a proposed order?
I do, Your Honor.
Can you approach?
Yes.
Então, o advogado de defesa, você tem algum proposto? Eu tenho, senhora, eu vou apresentar.
Mr. Roque de Olivero, you have a lawyer. Do you have any questions for me?
Então, senhor Roque de Oliveira, o senhor tem um advogado já? O senhor tem alguma pergunta para mim? Não.
All right, that concludes this hearing.
Então, tá bom. Terminamos esse caso.
You can disconnect. Thank you for your services.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
There it is. All right, Mr. Parker, you were arrested on the charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and improper exhibition of any weapon. There is probable cause for those charges. Counsel, you have arguments with regard to terms of release.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Parker is a naval veteran. He was a naval aviator who served 30 years and was honorably discharged from the Navy. He's a combat veteran who served in the Vietnam War, born and raised in Orlando. He has retired here and has been living here for the last 13 years at the residence located at 3662 Daydream Place, St. Cloud, Florida. His family's here and present. His wife, his sister, his nephew, and his brother-in-law. His nephew is in fact an officer of the court in Maryland. We believe that Mr. Parker is under no circumstances a flight risk. He has never been in any trouble whatsoever in his life. In fact, in terms of the PC issues here, this is more of an affirmative defense, Your Honor. This is an issue of there being a trespass onto his property, and then after warning, there was an argument that ensued, and after warning, he did come out with a shotgun. And as to those issues, I think that those are more of an affirmative defense, Your Honor. They will be addressed at a later date. I don't want to take up the court's time with that issue. I've already spoken to the state attorney, and she's agreed to a bond of $500 and with special conditions that Mr. Parker surrender any other firearms that are in the property or
They took this one, it said.
they took this one. He's got some other firearms, Your Honor, and I did not use the proper term, but relocate would probably be the better term, to relocate those firearms. I've already spoken to his brother-in-law, Mr. Obadiah Thompson, which he has indicated that he lives in Orlando, Your Honor. He will go to the property today prior to his release. In fact, immediately upon leaving here today, retrieve those firearms and place them in his home in Orange County. So they will no longer be in possession of Mr. Parker. And as to the special conditions of no contact with the victim, I've also proffered that issue with the state, and the state has agreed that some of the language here in the no contact order, which I would like to potentially scratch some of this out, but I did achieve his signature while I visited him in the jail. This provisions of staying 500 feet away from the victim is just unreasonable. This incident occurred on the doorstep of his property. The other individual was actually visiting the house next door where he was doing lawn maintenance.
So
And
I've already thought of all this too.
Right.
So as long as Mr. Parker wouldn't come out of his house
that's what we agreed to.
while they were
Yeah.
there working, that would
Right.
be fine with me.
Right? Do you want me to write it up, or do you
I'll
want to just put it on the record?
Madam Clerk, how would you like it handled?
I think the court minutes, if Your Honor's okay with
I don't know how her court minutes work for first appearances.
As far as with bond or the charges?
Why don't we say this? He may return to his home and he just simply can't come to the front yard while the alleged victims are working next door.
That's fine, Your Honor.
That work? I don't know what the backyards look like. I don't know whether there's a fence or not a fence, whether I need to tell him not to go to his backyard too. Anyway, he shouldn't be outside while they're there unless he's in his car driving away, bottom line.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay? So write it however you want to write it, as long as it accomplishes that intent.
Okay.
Does that sound all right, Ms. Klein-Peter?
Acceptable to the state, Your Honor.
All right. Yeah, it is an unusual set of circumstances, and I could tell, I could infer a lot of what you've already argued from what I've seen. There's clearly a history and clearly more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll do. I'll set the bond at $500.
Your Honor, is there any alternative for ORR in this case, given that he's never had any criminal history? There's a potential castle doctrine defense, and given his military history, his accommodations, and the fact that all the family's present, he's not a flight risk.
No, I don't.
500 seems nominal, really.
It is nominal, and that's what I was going to set with PTR conditions. The state hasn't requested PTR. I would give him direct PTR, but he doesn't qualify because of the charges. Does the state have an objection to an ROR?
Your Honor, given the circumstances, as long as ROR can have those conditions, which I think Your Honor has said they can.
Yes, ROR can come with conditions by statute. They can come with conditions, so.
State will not object to an ROR with the condition.
Okay, so no possession of any weapons or firearms, may not have contact with the alleged victims except to the extent we've modified the 500-foot requirement, but no communication, contact of any nature, directly or indirectly, and so forth.
That works, Your Honor. Would you like me to make changes to the one he already signed, or do you want me to just
You
get a
can make
blank
the
order?
changes. You can make the changes there because he's agreed to the more restrictive by signing that. So we're lessening so we're giving him more leeway. So there's no, we're not changing that in a way that harms him, basically.
Yes, to be clear, Your Honor, I'm just going to scratch out a bunch of stuff that doesn't apply.
That's fine.
All right.
All right. Yes.
To make sure conditions are no contact with victim, no communication, indirect or direct, no possession of weapons or firearms, may return home, not to go outside of home when the lawn workers are.
Yeah, when the alleged victims are working next door. And the no contact is as modified on the written no contact order.
Yes, and the bonds, how are you distributing it between count 1 and 2?
ROR on count 1 and 2.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
I'll make the changes, run it by the state, and then I'll approach.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. All right, let me get the interpreter on the line.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Ricardo Morales, Spanish interpreter. I have been previously sworn.
Excellent. Good afternoon. I have a couple of gentlemen at the jail who need your assistance for first appearances.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Thank you. So the first case is Tomas Betancourt Garcia, 22 CF 2535. Good afternoon, sir. All right, you just answered me in English. Do you need an interpreter, or do you speak and understand English well enough?
I need the interpreter.
All right, happy to give you one. All right, sir, you were arrested on the charges of possession of a firearm or ammunition by a convicted felon, possessing marijuana less than 20 grams, and possessing drug paraphernalia.
Señor, a usted se le puso bajo arresto por estar en tenencia de un arma de fuego, siendo un reo convicto, además de posesión de marihuana por 20 gramos o menos, y por poseer adminículos de la droga.
There is probable cause for the arrest.
¿Existe suficiente indicio de criminalidad para el arresto?
As I announced earlier, sir, you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and I have provisionally appointed the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Como mencioné anteriormente, usted tiene todo el derecho a ser representado por un abogado y es designado provisionalmente la representación a través de la Oficina de Defensores Públicos.
All right. I do not believe that the charges are appropriate for direct pretrial release.
No creo que las acusaciones sean apropiadas para conceder una libertad provisional.
And I believe the bonds that have been set are reasonable, so I'm going to stay those bonds.
Y me parece que las fianzas impuestas son suficientes, así que la fianza permanecerá tal cual.
So that will be $4,000 on count one, $250 on count two, $500 on count three,
Así que sería $4,000 por la acusación número 1, $250 por la acusación número 2 y $500 por la acusación número 3.
Conditions of bond are that you may not possess any weapons or firearms, and you may not use or possess any drugs or narcotics without a prescription.
Las condiciones serán no poseer armas o armas de fuego y no podrá consumir ningún tipo de narcóticos.
I'm also going to impose pretrial release conditions.
También impondré condiciones para la libertad provisional.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
And then I believe the next gentleman is Alexis Javier Guzman Anton Marchi, 21 CT 1100. Good afternoon, sir.
Buenas tardes, señor.
Sir, you were arrested on a violation of probation affidavit issued by Judge Epperson.
Señor, usted fue puesto bajo arresto por incumplir con una
You have no
orden de
bond.
allanamiento por el señor.
Sorry, Mr. Interpreter.
My apologies, Your Honor.
You have no bond on those charges.
No hay fianza para esa acusación.
And Madam Clerk, do we have a court date for Mr. Antonucci?
VOP arraignment, September 15th, 8:05 a.m., courtroom 5B.
My apologies. Can you repeat the date once more, please?
September 15th at
8:05 a.m.,
8:05 a.m.,
courtroom 5B.
courtroom 5B as in boy.
Su próxima fecha de audiencia para vista de incumplimiento de probatoria será septiembre 15 a las 8:05 de la mañana en el Salón Cortez 5B.
All right, thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
Mr. Interpreter, would you ask if there's anyone else who requires your assistance?
Certainly, Your Honor. ¿Alguien más requiere el servicio de intérprete en español?
All right, thank you, Mr. Interpreter. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great day.
You too. All right, I've signed the no contact order in Mr. Parker's case. Ms. Kleinpeter, did you see the revisions?
State has seen the revisions. No objection from the state, Your Honor.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Will Mr. Parker get a copy of that order, or how will that work?
If you sign.
Did you take a photo of it? Yes, I did. Okay, perfect. So you can email that to him.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice
Thank
day.
you, folks, for being here. The next case will be Jason Clispy Salliard. This is Polk County case number 22 CF 3239. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, you were arrested on a VOP warrant out of Polk County. There is no bond currently on that. So you're going to be transported back to Polk County. You'll be able to address the judge there with regard to the merits of the case and/or conditions of release, okay? Thank you. I don't know. Soon, I hope, but I guess Polk will probably have to come get you, so that's up to them.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Eduardo Alvarez Castillo, 2014 CF 4145.
I'm sorry, Judge, which one did you say?
Alvarez Castillo.
He's in the hospital, Your Honor. Ask for a
In,
reset.
in the hospital, okay. Tomorrow, or is that going to be a longer-term hospitalization?
Do we have that information? We don't know, Your Honor. I guess reset for tomorrow.
All right, we'll reset it for tomorrow. And Madam Clerk, please keep my note for tomorrow's docket.
No problem.
Okay, the next case, 21 CF 1913, Rohan Bahari. Good afternoon, Mr. Bahari. Sir, you were arrested on a violation of probation warrant signed by Judge Lattimore for me while I was away. There is no bond on your case. What is the next hearing date for Mr. Bahari?
VOP arraignment, October 12th, 8:45 a.m., quorum 5F.
All right, October 12th at 8:45. If anything needs to be addressed before then, your lawyers will be getting in touch with the court, okay? Okay. Thank you, sir. 22 MM 1979, this is Jace Burgos. And I have a witness here.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, good afternoon, sir. So you were arrested pursuant to an arrest warrant issued by the emergency duty judge. You were arrested for domestic battery. There is probable cause for the arrest. I reviewed this affidavit. All right, ma'am, raise your right hand to be sworn. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You have to answer out loud?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We're being recorded by a digital court reporter, so they have to be able to hear you. So please state your name.
My name is Thais Muniz.
All right, Ms. Muniz, and Thais is Thais?
Correct.
All right. What would you like for me to know and consider with regard to Mr. Burgos's release?
Well, as far as it comes down to it, I really don't feel like I am in any kind of way in harm. That was an incident. However, I feel like there's no reason for him to not be able to return back to the house, even if it should just pick up his personal belongings. As far as that goes, I just feel like there shouldn't be any charge directed towards him. If it was possible to even drop the charge, I know I didn't press any on my end as well.
So I can't do that. That's up to the state attorney. They haven't even filed a charge at this point. So that's all in their lane, if you will. So you and Mr. Burgos had decided to end your relationship, is that right? Or what's the status?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, due to this whole entire situation, that's why I'm rather just go about it that way.
Okay. How much property does he have at your?
He has his clothes, he has several things in there that he would need at least assistance with moving.
Is it something like he could get it all one time with a law enforcement officer, or does he need to come with a truck to load it all?
I feel like he would need to probably come back because I know that some of our things are also put together. So I think it would probably be more than one time.
All right.
Because, I mean, I'm sorry.
Are you in fear of Mr. Burgos?
No, sir.
If you did become in fear based on his actions toward you, would you hesitate to call 911?
I would not hesitate. But however, I am not in fear. That's actually the reason as to why I wanted to come to court as well today, to see if there was any way so he didn't have to, what's that, I'm sorry, I completely just forgot, my apologies. No contact order. That's why I also came today to see if there was a possible way to go ahead and just not have that.
To not have a no contact order?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Klein-Peter, do you have questions for Ms. Muniz?
State does not have questions.
Say that one more time.
I do not have questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Rosa, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, why don't I do this? Based on the testimony and based on the nature of the offense, which was not as serious as we see sometimes, I'm going to grant ROR for Mr. Burgos. That's a non-monetary release. Your conditions, Mr. Burgos, of ROR are that you may not have hostile contact with Ms. Muniz, which means you would be able to have contact as long as there was no physical contact that was hostile and no words toward her that are hostile. I'm going to, based on the testimony, I'm not going to restrict the number of times that you can have the contact. The restriction is no hostile contact. Mr. Burgos, the only non-legal advice but practical advice that I can give you is that you have contact with Ms. Muniz at your own risk, because if she made the allegation that you were hostile toward her, that would probably result in violation of your release terms. So if the goal is to obtain your belongings and separate and go about your lives, then that's what you should do without delay, okay? Anything else, Ms. Klein-Peter?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rosa, anything else? No, Your Honor. Mr. Burgos, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Muniz, does that address your concerns?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns that I should order something more?
No, that would be about it.
Okay, thank you.
My last question would be, does he have bond or no bond?
I released him on non-monetary.
No, okay, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So he does not have bond, but he will be released without a bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Rodney Deliane, I'm sure I mispronounced that name and I apologize. Mr. Rosa, are you getting undressed or what's going on there?
Your Honor, it's a little hot in here today.
All right. Sir, you were arrested on a warrant issued by Judge Nix Walker for failure to appear for a status hearing. There is no bond in your case. Is there a next court date, Madam Clerk?
Pre-trial, September 21st, 9 a.m., courtroom 5A.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
Is there anywhere I could speed up this process, like file a motion and stuff, because...
That's something you'll have to address with your lawyer, okay? That's all I know is what I've told you. Okay? Thank you, sir. Joshua Eshazareta, I think. I apologize for mispronouncing those names. 22 CF 2491 and 22 CF 1548. Sir, how do you pronounce your name correctly?
Joshua Echezareta.
Echezareta, okay. Thank you, sir. Officer Jenkins, what is the legal constraint referenced on the cover page? Where was that one? I'm sorry?
I'm still pulling it up looking.
Okay. So
What was the legal constraint, Your Honor? I missed.
he has an open case, she said, a driving offense, and she's looking it up. All right. In the cases you're here for today, sir, in case number 2491, you were arrested on a warrant issued by the emergency duty judge for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. There is probable cause, and your bond is going to be $1,000 on that count. You may not return to CVS at 7615 West Earlo Bronson Memorial Highway in Kissimmee. That's the condition of that bond. You may not have any contact with any victims or witnesses either. Then in case number 1548, you were arrested on a warrant that I issued for failure to appear at arraignment. And you have 0 bond on that case.
I called in, Your Honor, on the day of my court date. I couldn't make it. I didn't have no ride. And my lawyer said that he was going to talk to you about that. I'm not sure if he did or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but calling in really doesn't cut the mustard. But your lawyers can file a motion if there's something they need me to consider. I'll be happy to consider it.
It was for something about a pawnbroker or something like that, right? I didn't understand.
Trafficking in stolen property is the charge, I believe.
What is it?
I believe it's trafficking in stolen property, but I'm not 100% sure. Officer Jenkins, were you able to determine that other legal constraint?
Yes, sir. He was on PTR, and that's when his failure to appear, and it was dealing in stolen property.
Okay, so it was a PTR revocation in the other case as well. Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I have a court date for him.
Okay, what is the next court date?
For 22 CF 1548, arraignment September 12th, 8:45 a.m., quorum 5F.
Okay, September 12th, you said?
Correct.
All right, September 12th, sir. All right, Patrick Griffin, 21 CT 505.
Present approaching, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Griffin.
How you doing?
I'm well, thank you, sir. Judge Epperson issued a warrant, sir, for your arrest for failure to appear at arraignment. He did set a bond for you in the amount of $5,000. If you don't post bond, what would be Mr. Griffin's next court date, Madam Clerk?
If he posts bond, arraignment September 22nd, 8:30 a.m., courtroom 5B. If he does not post bond, September 8th, 8:05 a.m., courtroom 4A.
Okay, so those will be your next court dates, sir. All right, thank you. Donovan Rogers, 22MM 1119.
Good morning, good afternoon, Your Honor.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. Judge Sanders Morency issued a warrant for your failure to appear at arraignment, sir. She also set a bond for you in the same amount that Mr. Griffin had, which is $5,000. Madam Clerk, what would be Mr. Rogers' next court dates?
If he bonds, September 23rd, 8:15 a.m., courtroom 4A. If he does not bond out, September 8th, 8:05 a.m., courtroom 4A.
May I say, my mom won't be able to bond me out, so it would have to be September 8th at 8 a.m.
That would be, yeah, if you're not bonded out, that would be the date.
Yes, sir. May I just put in just a quick statement for your notes?
Well, you're being recorded. Anything you say can be used against you, so
I
if
do
it's...
understand that.
Okay.
I do understand. I'm just trying to get this resolved, this entire court date and incarceration. I'm trying to get resolved under the fact that I'm trying to get my mental health diagnosis and my dual diagnosis taken care of through live streams. I'm actually trying to get back to the outside world so I can go straight to live streams in Leesburg and admit myself under a self-admitted Baker Act type deal where they can give me my mental health evaluation so I can go before the law offices of Deutschman and Zakaria out of Citrus County so that I can get help or assistance in getting my Social Security back because I am a mental health patient with a dual diagnosis.
Okay, well, sounds like your lawyers have a lot of work to do to get your case resolved quickly, but that'll have to be with Judge Sanders Morency, okay?
Understood.
All right, thank you, sir. Yaro Bonanno Matias, and I apologize for butchering that name, 22 CF 2536. Good afternoon, sir. How do you pronounce your name?
Yaro Bonanno.
Okay, I wasn't too far off, but, sir, you were arrested on 4 charges, possession of controlled substance without a prescription, possession and use of drug paraphernalia, possession of a weapon or ammunition by a convicted felon, and use or possession of an identification of another without their consent. There is probable cause for the charges. I'm not going to order direct pretrial release based on the nature of the charges, but I will reduce your bonds. On count 1, I'm going to reduce the bond to $1,000. On count 2, I'm going to reduce the bond to $150. On count 3, I'm going to stay the bond in the amount of $4,000. And on count 5, I'm going to reduce that bond to $1,000. All right. Conditions of bond will be you may not use or possess drugs or narcotics without a prescription. You may not possess any weapons or firearms. Of course, doing so would equate to a new law violation in your circumstance anyway. May not have contact with your co-defendants and witnesses. All right. Anything else, Ms. Klein-Peter, that I need to address?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Rosa?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Oh, he was speaking to me? What were you asking me?
Was there anything else I need to address?
With his case? No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next cases will be Brandon Braxton. Those are 22 MM2004, 22 CF 2537. Officer Jenkins, what would be the other legal constraint referenced on this cover sheet?
He have a violation out of Virginia.
Out of where?
Out of Virginia.
Okay, is there a hold?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Braxton, you were arrested in case number MM2004 for resisting an officer without violence and petty theft first offense. There is probable cause for those charges. The bonds are going to be stayed at the amount of $500 on count 1, $250 on count 2. You may not return to 4692 West Earl of Bronson Memorial Highway in Kissimmee. That's a Circle K. All right. You may not have contact with any witnesses. And I think that would be Angel Montanez. All right. No contact, that's not it. And then in case number CF 2537, you were charged with the introduction of contraband into a correctional facility. And your bond on that count is $5,000. You may not possess or use any weapons or firearms as a condition of that bond.
Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't understand that charge because I was searched 3 or 4 times while I was in handcuffs, and they found a knife on my hip in intake. So how did I try to smuggle it in? I don't understand that.
Well, that would be for you and your lawyers to make the argument to the judge, okay? But there is probable cause for that charge. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Christine Bird, 22 CT 2980.
Judge, do you mind repeating the bond for the previous case?
Mr. Braxton, it was 500 on count 1 in the misdemeanor, 250 on count 2 in the misdemeanor, no return and no contact, as I announced. And then on the CF case, 2537, it's $5,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Christine Bird.
Oh, she's detoxing, Your Honor.
All right, so
After a 24-hour reset.
we'll reset that for tomorrow. Then we have Hediris Acevedo Reyes, 22 MM 2005.
Yeah, that's the hospital.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, you were arrested on the charges of battery, domestic violence, and resisting or obstructing a police officer without violence. There is probable cause. This is a really unfortunate set of circumstances. So who has custody? Who's watching your kids right now?
My sister.
And so they're at your sister's house.
She lives in St. Cloud.
I'm sorry?
St. Cloud?
So they're at your sister's house in St. Cloud?
Yes.
All right. So the only person at 5690 Western Sun Drive would be Mr. Delgado, the alleged victim in this case. Is that correct?
Yes, but that is my house under my name.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But this is how this case went sideways, and you need to speak with your lawyers about how you have to appropriately handle the situation, okay? So will you be able to live with your sister while this case is pending?
Yeah, but I have to go to the house to look for my, belongings because I have 3 children that they need to go to school and to look for my car.
Right, okay.
I don't know if the other way that he can leave and, I can go back to my house.
Well, that's going to require you to consult with your lawyer about that, and it may require you to hire a civil lawyer. Okay? I can't give you any legal advice. So it's, as I said, I understand where you're coming from, but it's I can't give you any legal advice. All right, so as I said, there is probable cause for the charges. All right. Based on the nature of the offense and what I read about the way it occurred, I'm going to Officer Jenkins, does Ms. Acevedo have any prior history?
In 2021, she had burglary
violated pretrial release and it was dropped.
I'm sorry, you're really hard to hear. She violated pretrial release?
Yes, sir, but it was dropped. That was in 2021.
All right, I'm going to set bond on count 1 at $1,000 with pretrial release conditions. I'm going to reduce the bond on count 2 to ROR. You must maintain a separate residence from Mr. Delgado. You may have no contact with him except through appropriate legal proceedings. You may return to your home one time with law enforcement to obtain personal belongings for you and your children. You may not possess any weapons or firearms. Ms. Kleinpeter, anything else that you wish the court to address?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Rosa?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, I've done as much as I can do under the circumstances, okay? Thank you. All right, Jose Cordero, 22 CT 2981. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, you were arrested for the charge of operating a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. There is probable cause. Officer Jenkins, what's the legal constraint?
We have a failure to appear and 21 CT 5409 Orange County.
Is there a warrant in there?
I show him Capias out of that case in Orange, Your Honor.
You're showing a Capias?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I'm going to reduce the bond in this case to $250. Sir, you do have apparently a warrant holding you out of Orange County. I don't know anything about that. That's just what I'm being told by Officer Jenkins and the prosecutor here. All right, but I've reduced your bond in this case to $250. All right, there is probable cause. All right, thank you.
Your Honor, he has a future court date.
Oh, what is his future court date?
If he bonds, September 23rd, 8:15 a.m., courtroom 4A. If defendant does not bond, September 8th, 8:05 a.m., courtroom 4A.
All right, so you may be able to see a judge next week if you haven't bonded, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Zachary Cruz, 22 CF 2538. Good afternoon, sir. So I am going to accept the name Zachary Xavier Cruz. I guess Mr. Cruz entered the jail as a John Doe. There is no probable cause here. So I'm going to give the state 24 hours to obtain a new or supplemental affidavit.
Yes, Your Honor, state agrees. State has already reached out to the trooper for the additional information on what is meant by maybe stolen vehicle.
Right. And there was apparently an accident with damage and failure to remain at the scene, but that's not what was charged. We will reset this case for 24 hours, and then I'll address any conditions of release, okay? All right, thank you, Mr. Cruz. I have 3 cases for Christopher Everett, 22 CT 2982, 22 CF 2539, and 22 CF 2840. Afternoon, Mr. Everett. Sir, in the CT 2982 case, you were arrested for operating a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. There's probable cause for that arrest. I'm going to reduce that bond to $250. I'm not sure why they raised it to 500, actually, but whatever. Then in case number 22 CF 2539, you were arrested on the charge of grand theft of a motor vehicle. There is probable cause. I'm going to stay the bond at $1,000 and order that you have no contact with the owner of the vehicle. And then in case number 22 CF 2540, you were arrested on the charges of possession of cocaine, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, and possession or use of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause for those. Your bonds are going to be $1,000 on counts 1 and 2, so $1,000 each on those counts, $500 on count 3. The probable cause arrests are a violation of your release in case numbers 22 CF 4259 and 4146, which is an Orange County case. So your ROR in 4259 is revoked. You'll be held pretrial detention pursuant to statute in that case. 4146, your bail will be revoked and you'll be held pretrial detention pursuant to statute in that case. All right.
I'm sorry, which one did bail just get revoked on?
22 CF 4259 and 22 CF 4146 in Orange County. ROR was revoked in 4259.
That is Orange County as well, correct?
Oh, this does not say that.
They're both Orange County.
They're both Orange County?
Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
So they're both Orange County. All right, Sean Lufkin is our next.
Your Honor, he has a future court date.
Oh, does Mr.
I wasn't
Everett?
sure if you were done.
All right, Mr. Everett, you have a future court date. Madam Clerk's going to give that to you.
For 22 CT 2982, if bonded 9/22, 8:30 a.m., quorum 5B. If defendant does not bond out, September 8th, 8:05 a.m., quorum 4A.
All right, thank you. Sean Lufkin, 22 CF 2541.
Detox, Your Honor, excuse me.
You what?
He's detox right now and asked for a 24-hour reset.
Okay. Sean Powell, 22 MM 2006. Good afternoon, Mr. Powell. Sir, you were arrested for petty theft. There is probable cause for the arrest. I'm going to order that you not return to the Home Depot at 4560 13th Street in St. Cloud. Your bond will be $250 with that condition. All right. Does he have a court date, Madam Clerk?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Am I going to be PTR'd or no?
No. Let me take. Oh, you do qualify for direct PTR. Officer Jenkins, what can you tell me about Mr. Powell's past?
Your Honor, wait till it calm down. He have possession of cocaine, shoplifting. His latest, he have loitering, scheme to defraud, grand theft, burglary, unoccupied dwelling, fraud, false ownership for a pawn shop, and trafficking stolen property.
All right. I think the bond is a very reasonable bond. I don't think direct PTR is an appropriate. All right, thank you. 22 MM 2007, Melanie Ramirez.
I'm sorry, Judge, it was a little loud in here. What name did you say?
Melanie Ramirez, 22 MM 2007. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
You were arrested on the charge of domestic violence battery. There is probable cause. I don't have a witness here today, so where can you reside if you are released?
It would be at my best friend's house. I lived there previously for 3 years.
Okay. All right. There is probable cause for the arrest, as I said. I'm going to set your bond relatively low at $500 with pretrial release conditions. You may return to your mother's home one time with a law enforcement officer to get your personal belongings. So you can return one time to 2900 O'Connell Drive. Otherwise, you may not have contact with Tanya Paula Ramirez. All right, you may not possess any weapons or firearms. Is there anything else the state would be requesting?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Rosa, is there anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next case, Eddie Rodriguez, 22 CF 2543.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. You've been arrested for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription and possession or use of drug paraphernalia. You also, I'm told, have a hold out of Orange County.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Sounds like you may know more about it than I do. So I frankly struggled with this one.
Yeah, me too.
I read about that.
Yeah.
I think there clearly was no, well, we're not, sir,
I'm sorry.
you're not a lawyer and you're not the judge, so you may be experienced, but you're not a lawyer or a judge. This was not a consensual encounter, okay, so that's clear. Then the question becomes whether it was an appropriate investigative stop. And for that, I think it probably was, for the simple reason, although the affidavit doesn't address the ordinance, the affidavit talks about the park being closed. So the officer was making an investigative stop pursuant to those regulations or ordinances or whatever, and they are allowed to ask for identification. Whether this whole incident took too long or not, and whether the evidence is admissible or should be suppressed is not something that I will address today, because that's not the purpose of a first appearance. But you have an interesting case, and your lawyers have some things to argue over for sure. All right, so again, there is probable cause based on what I've just described. I'm going to reduce bond on count 1 to $1,000, and I'll reduce bond on count 2 to $150 for a total bond of $1,150. Sir, I'm going to order that you not possess weapons or firearms. No, you may not possess any drugs or narcotics without a prescription. Just use your good sense if you find yourself in the presence of fentanyl. All right? I believe that's all. Ms. Klein-Peter, is that right?
That's it, Your Honor. He's KPS with Judge Blackman.
Okay. Mr. Rosa, is there anything else we need to address?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I just want to confirm for on the record purposes, we are scratching off the condition, no weapons or firearm, correct? It was do not possess or own.
Yeah, I started saying that, and I
Just want to make sure.
yes, I was on the wrong wavelength. Only drugs and narcotics based on the charge.
Thank you.
All right. Ciani Stella Diaz, 22 MM 2008. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, you were arrested for the charge trespass to a structure or conveyance. There is probable cause, and I'm going to stay your bond at the amount of $250. Order that you not return to the Coles at 3200 North John Young Parkway. You're out on bail in 2 Orange County cases, 22 CF 4167 and 22 CF 4147. Your bail in those cases is going to be revoked. You'll be held zero bond on pretrial detention pursuant to statute. All right, there was probable cause, as I said, for the trespass charge. The facts involve the stolen vehicle that we addressed with Mr. Everett.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Ma'am, I don't know that there would be any upside to you doing that, especially since anything you say can be used against you.
It's about my cases in Orange County.
I don't know anything about your case in Orange County. And so your lawyers will need to address that with Judge Harris.
They were going to be closed without, they haven't filed on one at all. But I still have to be revoked. They still have to be revoked.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. Your lawyers can go before Judge Harris and make arguments for you there.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Thank you. All right, Cameron Rubino, 22 CF 2544. All right, sir, it looks like you may have been before the court before for first appearance. It looks like this is an added charge. You were arrested, sir, for theft of a motor vehicle. There is probable cause based on the affidavit. Your bond. What I can't figure out is why the officers, if they're using the bond schedule, the numbers should be consistent, and the numbers are not consistent across these affidavits. And I'm not sure why.
It was hard to determine the bond on that booking report.
I'm going to reduce his bond on this one to $1,000 because I think that's what I set on some other grand theft auto cases today. All right, you may return to Dindy's One Stop Auto Solutions at 1505 Ross Avenue. You may not have contact with Mark Pierre. Okay. All right. Next case is Miguel Alejandro Nieves, 22 MM 1995.
Your Honor, he's in the hospital. Ask for a 24-hour reset.
Well, we already did a reset, but I think I addressed this one, didn't I, Madam Clerk? Because the bond has stayed. I believe this is one where,
Is it Mr. Johnson?
no, this is Mr. Nieves.
Give me one
I
moment.
believe this is the one where counsel
Give me one
asked
moment.
for a reset and then said if I was staying the bond, they would waive appearance. I may be misremembering.
No, Your Honor. We did have one, but it was not this one.
Okay. All right, so this would be a second reset, Mr. Rosa. Is that what you wish?
Did you issue bond in this case, Your Honor?
He has a bond, 250.
All right, then I don't mind waiving his appearance.
All right, thank you. So there was probable cause for the petty theft charge. And bond was stayed at 250. He may not return to Walmart at 4400 13th Street in St. Cloud. All right, and then we have our final reset, which was Mr. Johnson, Melvin Johnson, 22 CF 2529. Afternoon, sir. This was only as to count 2 because I found probable cause with regard to count 1 and 3. This time, Peter, I don't believe anything has been supplemented with regard to count 2.
State has not received any supplemental information from the law enforcement agency at this time.
All right, so count 2 will be ROR, no probable cause. Okay, so to recap, Mr. Johnson, your bond on count 1 is $500. No,
Yesterday, count
I granted pretrial release on counts 1 and 3. All right, so you have pretrial release on counts 1 and 3, and I've granted ROR on count 2. All right, so the conditions of your ROR are going to be no return to Walmart at 4444 West Pine Street in Kissimmee, and no contact with Terry Mashburn. And then pretrial release conditions will apply to the other counts. And those conditions will apply to all 3. The conditions I announced will apply to all 3 counts.
Your Honor, I just want to make sure, is direct PTR on count 1 and 3?
Correct.
Thank you.
With the extra conditions that I announced.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Ms.
I want to clarify on Mr. Melvin Johnson. You said that he can't return to the Walmart, not the Echo Pawn Shop location, or whatever the shop is, the Echo location.
That is inside Walmart.
Oh, okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Klein-Peter?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Rosa?
No, Your Honor, we got them all. Just want to apologize for the slight disruption, taking off my jacket there, and you have a good day.
No worries. I just was a little bit concerned when you kept fumbling. Anyway, Officer Jenkins, anything else? Thank you all. Have a great evening. All right, the post-conviction matter this afternoon was continued because a witness had surgery, so we will be adjourned.